Introduction: The Bonfire of Truth. Campo de Fiori, Rome, year 1600. A man burns at the stake. His name is Giordano Bruno. His crime was not to kill, nor to steal, nor to betray a king. His crime was to think. His crime was to say out loud that the universe is infinite, that God is not in a stone church, but in the mind of every human being, and that we have the power to shape reality. While the flames consumed his body, the institution that held power at that time believed that by burning the man, it also burned the idea. They believed that fire could destroy the truth. They were wrong. What you are about to hear in this audiobook is not new content. It is not a modern self-help theory or internet speculation. This is the Codex of the Silenced. It is the compilation of Gnostic, Hermetic, and alchemical wisdom that has been systematically persecuted, erased, and ridiculed over the last 2 millennia. Why so much effort to hide this? Why were the Cathars exterminated in the south of France? Why was the Library of Alexandria reduced to ashes? Why were the Templars hunted like animals? The answer is terrifying in its simplicity, because this knowledge makes you ungovernable. The system, call it the Matrix, call it society, call it the Great Illusion, functions under basic premise. You are small, you are a victim, and you need intermediaries to connect with the divine or to change your fate. You need a priest, a politician, a doctor, an expert. Forbidden metaphysics breaks that chain. It tells you that there are no intermediaries. It tells you that reality is not something that happens to you, but something you do. It tells you that the universe is mental and that you are the dreamer who sustains the dream. Throughout the coming chapters, we are going to rescue these principles from the shadows. We will not speak of modern science, but of high mental magic. We will speak of alchemy not as the search for physical gold, but as the transmutation of your dense emotions into pure power. We will speak of the word not as grammar, but as the source code. We will speak of the word as the code that programs matter. We will speak of death not as the end, but as the great initiation that the system has taught you to fear in order to keep you obedient. But I warn you, this knowledge comes at a price. The price is responsibility. Once you understand how the mirror of reality works, you will no longer be able to blame anyone for your misfortune. You will no longer be able to be a victim. You will have to assume the throne of your own existence, and for the human ego accustomed to the comfort of complaining that is more painful than physical fire. If you are looking for comfort, close this audio now. But if you are looking for the key that was lost centuries ago, if you feel in your bones that the world they sold you is a cardboard model and that there is something real and powerful beating behind the veil, then welcome. The flames of the Inquisition have gone out. The ashes have cooled, but the voice of the silenced continues to whisper. It is time to listen to what they had to say. Chapter 1, The Veil of Maya, Awaken. It is not a polite request. It is an order. What you are seeing right now, the room you are in, the device you hold, your own hands, is a lie. A sophisticated, persistent, and terribly convincing lie designed eons ago to keep an infinite consciousness trapped in a finite experience. Throughout history, from the banks of the Ganges to the deserts of Egypt, through the caves of hermits in Tibet, the men and women who managed to see behind the stage reached the same terrifying conclusion. The physical world is not solid. The physical world is a theater of shadows. Ancient sages of India called it Maya, the great cosmic illusion. The Gnostics, persecuted to extinction, called it the error or the prison of matter. Plato described it as a dark cave where prisoners chained since birth only saw shadows of reality projected on the wall by an invisible fire, believing those dark spots were the real world. You are that prisoner, and this chapter is the first hammer blow against the chains that bind you to the wall. To understand forbidden metaphysics, you must first accept the most difficult premise of all. Nothing your eyes see is the truth. Your eyes are not windows to the world. They are filters. They are biological sensors programmed to hide 99% of reality from you, the architecture of sensory deception. Let us begin by dismantling the tool you trust most, your senses. You have been taught to believe in the saying, seeing is believing, but the masters of occult knowledge have always taught the opposite. If you see it with the eyes of the flesh, it is because it is already past. It is because it is already dead. It is because it is a shell. Your physical senses are not designed to show you the truth. They are designed for survival in a hostile environment. Your eye only captures a ridiculous strip of the electromagnetic spectrum. You do not see radiation. You do not see radio waves. You do not see heat. You do not see the vital energy that emanates from plants and living beings. You see surfaces. You see edges. You see separation. When you touch a table, you feel solidity. Your brain tells you this is hard. This is real, but mental alchemy teaches us that this solidity is an electrical hallucination. If you could see that table with the vision of the spirit, or even with a sufficiently powerful microscope, you would see that it is 99.99% empty space. Atoms vibrating at dizzying speeds, orbiting in nothingness. What you feel is not matter. It is repulsion. They are magnetic force fields rejecting each other. Matter is not touched. Matter is not things. Matter is energy condensed into a slow vibration. Why is this important? Why did initiates risk their lives for this knowledge? Because if you believe the world is solid, you believe it is immovable. You believe that problems are concrete blocks that you cannot move. You believe that disease is an object in your body. You believe that poverty is a fixed situation. But if you understand the veil of Maya, if you understand that solidity is a trick of perception, then you understand that the world is not made of concrete. It is made of smoke. It is made of light. And smoke can be dispersed with a breath. Light can be redirected with a mirror. The first step of the magician, of the true metaphysician, is to stop respecting matter. You must lose respect for reality. You must look at it with suspicion. You must understand that it is a cardboard stage painted to look like granite, the dream of Brahma and the collective mind. In the forbidden text of the Vedanta, it is said that the universe is the dream of Brahma. God sleeps, and in his dream he creates worlds, galaxies, stories, wars, and loves. We are the characters in his dream. But the great esoteric revelation that for which they burn Giordano Bruno is that you are not just the dreamed character, you are also the dreamer. The great collective hallucination works because we have all agreed at a deep subconscious level to dream the same dream. We call this consensus. We agree that the sky is blue. We agree that fire burns. We agree that we need to eat to live and that we will age and die. These agreements are collective spells. They are laws that only work because millions of minds hold them simultaneously. Imagine you are in a lucid dream. While you sleep in your bed tonight, you dream that you are in a castle chased by a dragon. You feel real fear, your heart beats, you sweat. To your dreaming mind, the dragon is real and can kill you. But suddenly you realize, wait, this is a dream. In that moment of lucidity, the dragon loses its power. It is no longer a monster that threatens you. It is a projection of your own mind. You can turn the dragon into a butterfly, or you can wake up. The veil of Maya is that dream, but on a scale so dense and shared that we have forgotten we are sleeping. Forbidden metaphysics is the art of becoming lucid within the waking dream. It is walking down the street, seeing the buildings, seeing the traffic, seeing people in a hurry and whispering to yourself, this is a projection. This is energy responding to an expectation. I am not a victim of this. I am the projector of this, the trap of separation. The cruelest trick of Maya, the cornerstone of the great hallucination, is the illusion of separation. Your eyes tell you that you end where your skin ends. They tell you that the air around you is not you, that the chair is not you, that the person in front of you is another, a stranger, a potential enemy. This is the root of all human suffering. This is the lie that has justified all wars, all thefts, and all fears. If I believe I am separate from you and there are limited resources, I have to fight you to survive. The ego is born from the fear of separation, but Hermetic manuscripts tell us the all is mind. The universe is mental. In a mind, there is no separation. When you dream at night, you are the protagonist, but you are also the villain. You are the landscape, you are the weather, and you are the plot. Everything comes out of your own head. In physical reality, the same thing happens. The beggar you see on the street is a version of yourself experiencing poverty. The tyrant who rules is a version of yourself experiencing power without love. The tree is a version of yourself experiencing stillness. The great hallucination makes you believe you are alone in a hostile and alien universe. The hidden truth is that there is no universe out there. The entire universe is happening in here. There is no outside. What you see outside is a mirror. And if you hate what you see in the mirror, it is useless to break the glass fighting against the world. You have to change the face you put in front of it, your state of consciousness. The guardians of the veil, archons and egregor. Here we enter dangerous territory that the Gnostics stepped on and for which they paid with blood. If reality is an illusion, who maintains the illusion? Why is it so hard to wake up? Why, when you try to change your life and think differently, does it seem that the whole world conspires to return you to mediocrity? Ancient texts speak of the guardians of the threshold. The Gnostics called them archons, rulers. In modern occultism, they are called egregor. They are not demons with horns. They are something more subtle and terrifying. They are autonomous thought forms. When millions of people believe in fear, they create a cloud of fear energy. That cloud gains a kind of artificial life. It becomes a parasitic entity that needs to feed on more fear to survive. The veil of Maya is not just an optical error. It is a farm system. The illusion is designed to extract emotional energy from the sleepers. Your fear feeds the system. Your uncontrolled desire feeds the system. Your hate feeds the system. Every time you react emotionally to the shadows on the wall, news, crisis, drama, you are handing over your power to the guardians of the veil. You are giving them your consent for the nightmare to continue. Forbidden metaphysics teaches us that the only way to defeat the archons, to pierce the veil, is not to fight them because the fight generates more emotional energy, but to starve them. Divine indifference, neutral observation. Withdraw your attention from the illusion. Where there is no attention, there is no energy. And where there is no energy, the illusion dissolves. The fall of mental Atlantis. An esoteric legend exists present in many traditions under different names that speaks of a fall, not the fall of Adam and Eve for eating an apple, which is an infantilized allegory. We speak of a fall of perception. It is said there was a time before written history when human beings did not see the world as solid. They saw energy directly. They communicated telepathically because they understood there was no separation. They manifested instantly because they did not doubt. But we decided to play at limitation. We decided to lower the frequency to densify ourselves. We wanted to experience what it felt to forget who we were. We wanted to feel risk, pain, surprise. The veil of Maya was originally a voluntary game, a diving suit to submerge into dense matter. The problem is that we forgot how to take off the suit. We fell so much in love with the drama, with the strong sensations of the flesh, with pleasure and pain that we suffered amnesia. We got stuck at the lowest level of the video game, repeating the same screens over and over, the cycle of samsara, reincarnation without memory. Awakening is not learning something new. Awakening is remembering. It is the act of shaking off millennial amnesia and saying, wait a moment, this is not real. I am not this body. I am not this story. I am the one who observes the story. The mirage of objectivity. Modern science until very recently was the greatest defender of Maya. Scientific materialism is based on the dogmatic belief that an objective world exists independent of the observer made of little balls of dead matter that collide with each other by chance. This is the most powerful religion of the veil. They tell you are a biological accident. Your consciousness is a byproduct of the brain as steam is a byproduct of the machine. When you die, you turn off. The universe does not know you exist. This idea is the cement that holds the prison walls. It makes you feel small, helpless, insignificant. But quantum physics, in an ironic twist of fate, has begun to crack the veil from within. The observer effect, quantum entanglement, non-locality. The most advanced scientists are reaching reluctantly the same conclusion as the shamans and mystics. The universe does not exist if you do not look at it. There is no out there without an in here. Consciousness is the foundation of reality, not the other way around. The veil of Mur is tearing. What was once hidden knowledge in secret lodges is now discussed in laboratories, but the system fights back. It tries to keep you asleep with infinite distractions, social networks, noise, consumerism, constant fear of viruses, wars, collapses. All that noise has a single objective that you do not look inward. Because if you look inward, if you close the physical eyes and open the eye of the soul, you will realize that the cage has no door. It never had. You are inside because you believe you are inside. Breaking the spell, the first initiation. How is the veil torn in practice? It is not an intellectual process. It is not enough to listen to this audiobook and nod your head. You must live it. You must begin to doubt your senses. The next time you feel pain, fear, or anger, stop. Do not react. Observe the emotion. Observe the situation and repeat the formula of dissolution. This is a projection of my mind. This is Maya. It is not absolute truth. It is a relative truth that I have created, and since I have created it, I can uncreate it. At first you will feel ridiculous. The world will seem very real and very heavy. But if you persist, you will begin to notice glitches in the matrix, small synchronicities, moments where you think of someone and they call you, moments where you need something and it appears. Those are the holes in the veil. They are the light of the true reality filtering through the crack. The more attention you pay to those glitches, the larger they will become until one day the solidity of the world will crumble. You will stop being a creature that walks on the earth and you will become the space in which the earth exists. You will understand the laughter of the Buddha. You will understand why the enlightened ones smile in the face of death, because they know they are not dying. They are only waking up from a very long and very strange dream. Chapter 2. The Sleeping God. The Mental Origin. In the silence that precedes the first breath of the morning, before your name, your debts, and your fears flood your consciousness, there is a moment, a very brief moment, almost imperceptible, in which you simply are. You are not John nor Mary. You are not a lawyer, nor a mother, nor sick, nor poor. You are simply presence, a pure consciousness without form, without history, floating in the void. That moment is the crack through which the most dangerous truth of all slips. The truth for which pharaohs built labyrinthine tombs. The truth that the Gnostics whispered in caves under threat of death. The truth the church tried to crush with iron and fire for millennia. The truth is this: there is no God up there. There is a God in there, and that God is asleep. You are not a creature made of clay to whom the breath of life was given by divine charity. That is the story for children, for the uninitiated, to keep the herd docile within the pen. The hidden teaching, the major arcana, is that you are the mind. You are the mind that is dreaming your own life. You do not live in the universe. The universe lives in you. To understand the scope of your power and the magnitude of your amnesia, we must return to the primal source, to ancient Egypt, to the mythical figure of Hermes Trismegistus the thrice great. In the Cybelian, a text that condenses the wisdom that survived the burning of Alexandria, the first and most important principle is the all is mind. The universe is mental. Read this carefully. It does not say that the universe has a mind. It does not say that the universe thinks. It says that the universe is mind. Matter, energy, time, space, all are condensed thoughts. Just as ice is frozen water and steam is hot water, matter is simply frozen mind. What does this mean for you, the seeker listening to this codex? It means that you are not walking on solid ground. You are walking on thoughts, and most terrifyingly, you are walking on your own thoughts. Orthodox religion taught you to look outward, to pray to a distant sky, to ask favors of an entity separate from you, to a father who judges, punishes, and rewards. This is the great metaphysical scam, the externalization of power. By convincing you that God is outside, they turned you into a spiritual beggar. They made you believe that you are small, helpless, a cork floating on the ocean of fate. But forbidden metaphysics returns the crown to you. It tells you that divinity is not a person. It is a state of being. It is the original substance of which you are made. Your imagination is not a childish fantasy. Your imagination is the workshop of God. It is the tool with which the Creator molds the mental substance of the universe to create physical reality. Imagine for a moment that you are a being of infinite light. You have no form, you have no limits, you have no time, you know everything, you are everything. In that state of absolute perfection, there is a problem you cannot experience. In that state, you cannot experience anything. To experience heat, you need to not be the fire. To experience love, you need to feel loneliness. To experience triumph, you need to know the possibility of failure. Perfection is static. It is boring. So the God that you are decided to play a game. It decided to fragment itself. It decided to forget who it was to live the adventure of rediscovery. It created an avatar, a character, a body of flesh and bone with a limited story, with a family, with traumas, with a name. That avatar is you, the person you believe you are right now. The problem is that the game was so immersive, so realistic, so painfully vivid. The game was so vivid that the player, the sleeping God, forgot they were playing. You identified so much with the avatar that you believed you were the avatar. You began to truly suffer. You began to fear the death of the avatar, forgetting that the player is immortal. The sleeping God is that part of you, deep, silent, and eternal. It is the part that observes your life behind your eyes. It is the one who listens to your thoughts. Ask yourself this question right now. If I can listen to my own mental voice talking in my head, who is the one listening? There are two yous. There is the you who speaks, the ego, the character, the noisy mind. And there is the I who listens, the consciousness, the sleeping God, the silence. Spiritual awakening is not learning more theories. It is not reading more books. Awakening is the moment in which the player realizes they are inside the game. It is the moment in which you stop taking the drama of your life so seriously. You stop because you remember that you wrote the script. If we are sleeping gods, who is in command while we sleep? Who drives the car of your life while you snore in the back seat? The ego. In ancient texts, it is sometimes called the false spirit or the adversary, but it is not an external demon. It is a survival mechanism. The ego is the artificial intelligence of your biological suit. Its only function is to keep the body alive. And to keep it alive, it relies on fear. The ego loves separation. It loves mine and yours. It loves attack and defense. It loves being right. The ego lives in time. It regrets the past and fears the future. It is never here. While the sleeping God dreams, the ego sits on the throne of the mind. And because it is an illegitimate king, a frightened king, it rules with tyranny. It tells you there is not enough money, you are not good enough, they are going to hurt you, you must attack before they attack you. The voice you hear all day in your head, that incessant radio of worries and judgments, is the ego desperately trying to control a reality that is too big for it. Human suffering is born from this usurpation. We try to resolve divine problems like the creation of our reality with an animal tool, the ego. It is like trying to operate a nuclear reactor with a stone hammer. The result is anxiety, stress, depression, and chaos. Forbidden metaphysics teaches us that we must not kill the ego. That is impossible. While you have a body, what we must do is dethrone it. We must awaken the legitimate king consciousness. We awaken the king so the ego returns to its natural place, being a faithful servant, an advisor, but never the king. How does the sleeping God awaken? What is its language? The sleeping God does not speak in words. Words are human. They are limited labels. The sleeping God speaks in images and sensations. Here enters one of the best-kept secrets of the Hermetic lodges. Human imagination is the same substance as divine imagination. There are not two imaginations. There is only one, and you use it every day. When the Bible says we were made in image and likeness, it does not mean God has a nose and ears. It means we have the capacity to imagine. William Blake, the visionary poet and mystic, said it with a clarity that scares. Imagination is not a state. It is human existence itself. Imagination is the body of God. Everything you see around you, this building, that chair, your clothes, was first an image in someone's mind. First it was imagined, then it was made. Nothing exists in the human world that has not been imagined before. But here is the tragedy. The sleeping God is having a nightmare. Most human beings use their divine power, imagination, to create their own hell. What is worry? Worry is using your imagination to visualize what you don't want. It is praying for what you fear. You sit and begin to imagine, what if I am fired? What if I get sick? What if they leave me? You visualize the scene. You feel the anguish. You live the drama in your mind. To the mental universe, that is an order. The sleeping God has spoken. It has said, I want this. And the cosmic machinery begins to move to bring you that experience. You are a black sorcerer of your own life, casting curses upon yourself without realizing it because you believe that imagining is harmless. You believe that what happens in your head stays in your head. That is the biggest lie of the veil of Maya. What happens in your head goes out and becomes your destiny. In the ancient Hebrew tradition, the name of God was unpronounceable, Hed or WH, but its closest translation, the one given to Moses in the burning bush, is I am that I am, or simply I am. For centuries, priests told you that was the name of a gentleman with a beard in the clouds. They lied to you. I am is not a name. It is an activation formula. It is the source code of reality. Every time you say I am, you are invoking the name of God and giving it a direction. I am is the subject. What you put after is the predicate, the sentence. If you say I am poor, you are using God's name to decree poverty. You decree poverty and the universe responds, so be it. If you say I am sick, the universe responds, done. If you say I am unlucky in love, the universe responds, your wishes are commands. It does not matter if you say it in jest. It does not matter if you say it complaining. The sleeping God does not understand sarcasm. The sleeping God only understands decrees. The law is mechanical, cold, and precise. What you join to your I am, your identity, becomes your cage or your wings. Initiates learn to watch their tongue as if it were a loaded weapon. Never under any circumstance will a master of forbidden metaphysics say anything negative. They will not say anything negative after the words I am. Even if in physical reality they are sick, in their mental decree they will say I am health. Because they know physical reality is the past, the wake of the ship, and their present decree is the rudder that changes the course toward the future. To deny the evidence of the senses and dare to assume being what one does not seem to be, that is the act of supreme rebellion. That is the awakening of the sleeping God. There is a reason why the human being flees from this truth. There is a reason why we prefer to believe in an external God or in luck or in fate. We flee because if the sleeping God is me, then I have no one to blame. If I am the creator of my reality, the fault is mine. If my life is empty, it is because I have emptied it. If I am alone, it is because I have created walls. This radical responsibility is a crushing weight for the ego. The ego prefers to be an innocent victim rather than a responsible God. Prefers to cry and say, "Why me?" rather than look in the mirror and say, "I did this." To assume your divine identity is the most solitary act that exists. You realize that no one is going to come and save you. No politician is going to fix your life. No Messiah is going to come down from heaven. No partner is going to complete you. You are the Messiah you were waiting for. You are the architect, and the construction is halted waiting for your plans. This loneliness, however, is transformed. When you cross the valley of the shadow of total responsibility, you come out the other side with indescribable power. Loneliness becomes sovereignty. You no longer ask for permission. You no longer ask for forgiveness. You no longer beg for love or attention. You become a sun. The sun does not ask to be warmed. The sun warms. The sun does not ask for light. The sun illuminates. The awakened God needs nothing from the world. And paradoxically, it is then that the world gives it everything. The great teaching of this chapter is the movement of consciousness from the effect toward the cause. 99% of humanity lives in the effect. They react to the news. They react to the weather. They react to the look of the other. They react to their bank account. They are thermometers. They rise and fall according to the temperature of the environment. The initiate in the codex lives in the cause. The sleeping God upon awakening becomes the thermostat. He sets the temperature, and the environment adjusts to him. This does not mean you become insensitive or arrogant. It means you understand that the external world is the end of the assembly line, not the beginning. If you want to change your reflection in the mirror, you cannot shave the mirror. You have to shave yourself. If you want to change your world, you have to change the internal conversation of the God within you. You have to change what you tell yourself in the silence of your room. You have to change what you imagine before sleeping. There in the darkness of your skull is where wars are won or lost. There is where fortunes are made. There is where bodies are healed. Plato said that learning is remembering. The knowledge of your divinity is not something I can give you. It is not something you can buy. It is something you already have, but it is covered in debris. Debris of religious dogmas, of limiting education, of family traumas, of news of terror. The work of the metaphysician is not to build, it is to clean. It is to remove the layers of lies that have covered the sleeping God. It is like an archaeologist who brushes away the sand to reveal the golden statue that was always down there. Every time you reject a thought of fear, you are cleaning sand. Every time you ignore the appearance of scarcity and decree abundance, you are cleaning sand. Every time you forgive, you are cleaning sand. Every time you forgive, which means releasing the illusion of attack, you are cleaning sand. And little by little, the contour of the God begins to emerge. You begin to have moments of lucidity, moments in which you look at the world and do not feel fear, but a strange and deep compassion. You feel a compassion like that of an adult watching children play, moments in which you know with a certainty that chills your blood that everything is going to turn out well because you have decided that it turns out well. Chapter 3, Relentless Certainty, the Mechanism of Faith. True faith, the kind that moved mountains in ancient texts, the kind that walked on water, is not a passive emotion. It is a mechanical force. It is a law of physics as real and brutal as gravity. Gravity does not ask if you are a good person before pulling you to the ground. It simply acts. Faith, which we shall call relentless certainty, works the same way. It is not a divine gift. It is a mechanism of focus. It is the art of freezing the fluid energy of the universe into a solid form through the constant pressure of undoubting observation. The physics of the mold. The universe is liquid. Imagine that the universe around you is not empty space, but an ocean of invisible, dense and fluid substance. Ancient alchemists called it the ether. Modern scientists call it the quantum field. The name does not matter, its nature does. This substance is plastic. It is sensitive. It responds to pressure. By default, the ether takes the form of your deepest beliefs. If you believe life is hard, the ether hardens and offers you resistance. If you believe money flows, the ether liquefies and offers you resources. The problem of the average human being is that their mental mold is unstable. One day you believe you will succeed, you create a mold of success. The next day you are afraid, you break the mold and create one of failure. On the third day you have hope, you create a weak mold full of holes. The ether, confused by these contradictory instructions, remains in a state of chaos or simply repeats the default pattern of your past karma. Relentless certainty is the ability to hold the mental mold motionless against the pressure of physical reality. It is saying this is so, period. Not it will be so, not I want it to be so. Not please let it be so. But it is so when you reach that state of internal coldness of absolute conviction, the universe has no choice. It has no free will to deny you anything. The ether must fill the mold you hold. It is a hydraulic law. The miracle is not magic. It is the inevitable consequence of a mind that has stopped doubting. The poison of hope. Here is where we must destroy one of the most sacred and harmful concepts of modern spirituality. Hope. Pandora's box, according to the myth, released all the evils of the world, and the only thing left inside was hope. We were taught that this was a good thing. The Codex teaches us that it was the final curse. Why? Because hope implies absence. You only hope for what you do not have. If you have the keys to your house in your hand, you do not have hope of having them. You have the certainty of having them. You know they are yours. When you say, I hope to be healed, you are declaring to the universe, I am sick. When you say, I hope to be rich, you are declaring, I am poor. And since the universe is a literal mirror, chapter 1, it returns to you more of what you declare, more sickness and more poverty. Hope is a declaration of lack disguised as virtue. It keeps you in a perpetual waiting room. Always tomorrow, never today. Relentless certainty kills hope. The master does not hope. The master assumes. He assumes the desire has already been fulfilled in the mental plane. He walks through the world with the tranquility of one who already possesses the treasure. Even if his physical hands are still empty, this distinction is the razor that separates initiates from dreamers. The dreamer wants. The initiate has. Though his senses tell him otherwise, the initiate dwells in the frequency of having, the collapse of the wave, the look of Medusa. There is a Greek myth that contains a hidden scientific truth, Medusa. Anyone who looked Medusa in the eyes turned to stone. Human consciousness has the power of Medusa. Your fixed observation petrifies energy. Quantum physics, this is known as the observer effect. A wave of possibility, something that could happen, becomes a particle of reality, something that happens only when it is observed. Relentless certainty is a fixed gaze that does not blink. When you look at a possibility, for example, your perfect health, and observe it with absolute conviction, ignoring any contrary symptoms, you are petrifying that possibility. You are forcing it to enter the world of matter. But what do most people do? They look at health for a second, and then they turn their head and look at the disease. I feel bad. The doctor said this. It hurts here. By looking at the disease, they petrify it. They give it solidity. They make it real. They are schizophrenic Medusas creating stone monsters around them because they cannot discipline their gaze. The training of the forbidden metaphysician consists of learning to use blinkers like racing horses. You refuse to look to the sides. You refuse to acknowledge evidence that contradicts your desire. If your bank account is at zero, but you have decreed wealth, you do not look at the zero with emotion. You look at it as a temporary error on the screen, a glitch that will correct itself because your internal reality says millionaire. Holding that gaze before the abyss requires a courage that few have, but it is the only way. The paradox of evidence, walking on water. Let us recall the story of Peter walking on water toward Jesus. It is a perfect allegory of relentless certainty. As long as Peter kept his eyes fixed on the Master, the truth, the power, he walked upon the impossible. The law of gravity, the law of the material world, was suspended by a higher law, the law of the mind. But what happened? Peter looked at the storm. He looked at the waves. He felt the wind. His senses shouted to him, it's impossible. You're going to drown. The moment he validated the information of his senses, certainty broke, doubt entered. The mold dissolved and gravity claimed him. He sank. This happens to all of us. You start a process of manifestation. You feel powerful. You make your decrees. But after 3 days, an unpaid bill arrives, or your partner screams at you, or the pain returns. You look at the storm and you sink. The Codex tells us the evidence of the senses is the final test. The universe is going to test you. When you decree a change, the old reality will often scream louder before dying. It is the death rattle of the beast. If you get scared and believe in the beast, you give it life again. If you ignore it and keep walking on water, knowing it is an illusion, the storm dissipates and the ground appears under your feet. Relentless certainty is the ability to deny the evidence of your eyes to be faithful to the vision of your soul. It is divine madness. To the world you are crazy, you deny reality. To the Codex you are the only sane one, because you know that reality is an echo of the past and you are living in the cause. Tetsti, the state of it is done. There is an ancient Greek word charged with mystical power said to have been spoken on the cross. Tatelisti, it is translated as it is finished, or it is paid in full, or it is done. This is the maximum vibration of certainty. It is not it will be done. It is already done. Time is an illusion. Chapter 8. Therefore. What you desire is not in the future. It already exists in a parallel frequency. Relentless certainty is not about bringing something from the future to the present. It is about tuning the present to that parallel reality. How does it is done feel? It feels like relief. This is the secret key that many masters forget to teach. Faith does not feel like an electrical tension. It does not feel like an effort of clenching your teeth and believing very hard. True faith feels like when you drop a heavy backpack, a sigh, calm, silence. It's done. I don't have to worry anymore. The package has been sent. It is inevitable. If you are anxious about your manifestation, you do not have faith. You have doubt disguised as desire. Anxiety is the proof that you do not believe it is yours. If you ordered a pizza and you know it is coming, you are not anxious. You set the table. You relax. Relentless certainty is that deep calm. It is the peace that passes all understanding because it is a peace without logical reason. You are at peace in the middle of war because you know you won before you started. The placebo effect, the crack in science. Modern science in its blind materialism has stumbled headlong into relentless certainty and does not know what to do with it. They call it the placebo effect and they treat it as an annoyance in medical experiments. Oh, that patient was cured with a sugar pill because they believed it was medicine. It's just the placebo. Just stop to think about what that means. It means that the pure belief of a person without any external chemical agent was able to synthesize endogenous medicines, repair tissues, kill bacteria, and reverse chronic diseases. The sugar pill was only the permission the patient gave to themselves to use their own power. The pill was the ritual. The cure was certainty. The CEX tells us you do not need the sugar pill. You do not need the external ritual. You can induce the placebo effect in your financial life, in your relationships, in your career. If you manage to convince your subconscious with absolute certainty that this is fixed, your own mind will pull the strings of reality to fix it with the same biological precision with which it heals a wound. You are the medicine. Your belief is the active ingredient, the saboteur, logical doubt. Who is the enemy of certainty? The intellect, the left hemisphere, the devil's advocate, that sarcastic voice in your head that says, be realistic, look at the statistics, no one heals from this, you have no money, who do you think you are? That voice seems intelligent, it seems prudent, it seems adult, but it is the voice of the archons, it is the voice of the guardian of the veil. The intellect functions by analyzing the past, it only knows what has already happened. Therefore it cannot predict or accept anything new. For the intellect, the miracle is an offense. To practice relentless certainty, you must be willing to look foolish before your own intellect. You must tell your logic, shut up. You analyze the rubble, I am building a palace. You must learn to live in contradiction. You can be logically poor and vibrationally rich at the same time. And if you hold the vibration, the logic will have to rewrite itself to fit the new reality. Logic is plastic. Faith is the mold, the technique of total immersion. How is this certainty cultivated if we are full of doubts? The ancient masters used immersion. If you want to learn a language, you move to the country. If you want to learn faith, you move to the state of the wish fulfilled. This means surrounding yourself mentally and physically with the frequency of your desire. It means stop talking about your problems. Talking about problems is faith in problems. It means stop hanging out with people who validate your victimhood. It means saturating your mind before sleeping and upon waking with the sensation of it is done. It is not about lying to oneself. It is about choosing which truth you are going to feed, the transitory truth of your senses or the eternal truth of your imagination. Total immersion is an act of violence against the old reality. You cut off its supply of attention. You starve it to death, and you feed exclusively the new vision, the danger of sharing. There is a golden rule in Hermeticism to know, to will, to dare, and to keep silent. The last point is vital: to keep silent. Why? Because certainty is like a newly planted seed. It is fragile at first. If you tell your great project, your great dream, or your new faith to a skeptic, to a realistic friend, or to an envious relative, they will project their doubt onto you. They will tell you, are you crazy? That's not going to work. And if your certainty is not made of steel, their doubt will penetrate your mind. It will crack the mold. Social pressure is the #1 killer of magic. The Codex commands, keep your vision in secret. Incubate it in the silence of your inner temple. Do not seek external validation. Validation is doubt disguised. Tell me I am doing the right thing. You do not need anyone to tell you that you are pregnant. You know it because you feel life inside. It is the same with desire. If you are pregnant with a desire, you do not ask. You know, and you wait for the birth with joy. The sovereignty of the decree. Finally, relentless certainty manifests in language. The magician does not ask. The magician decrees. He does not say, God, if you will, give me this. That false humility is fear of taking responsibility. It is saying, if it doesn't happen, it's not my fault, God didn't want it. The sleeping God you always wants. The problem is whether you dare to accept it. The decree is an order to the subconscious and the ether. I am health. I am abundance. My will be done. At first your voice will tremble. You will feel like an imposter. But remember, an imposter is only someone who is rehearsing a new role until they become it. Fake it until you are it. Decree until you believe it. Because the word charged with certainty does not return void. Chapter 4. The Hidden Scribe Mastering the Shadow. Why, if you are a god in potential, do you still live like a beggar? Because there is a traitor in your own house. Because while your conscious mind, the captain, shouts orders of wealth and freedom from the bridge, there is someone in the engine room who is not listening. There is a silent, blind, and terribly powerful entity that holds the real controls of the ship. And that entity has its own orders. Ancient orders. Orders that you did not give it. In the esoteric tradition, this entity has been called many things. The guardian of the threshold, the double, the golem. Modern psychology calls it the subconscious. We in this codex will call it by its true metaphysical function, the hidden scribe. The scribe is in charge of projecting the movie of your life. You, the sleeping god, may want to see a movie of adventure and romance, but if the scribe holds a reel of horror and drama, that is what will be projected on the world screen no matter how much you scream or pray. Mastering the scribe is the great work. Without this, all spirituality is just an intellectual hobby. The nature of the golem, power without judgment. To understand the scribe, you must imagine a giant of infinite strength, but with the intelligence of a tape recorder. The scribe does not think, he does not judge, he has no sense of humor, and most importantly, he does not distinguish between the real and the imaginary. This is his fatal weakness and your greatest advantage. The scribe is a perfect servant but a terrible master. If you tell him with emotion, I am stupid. The scribe does not understand it is a joke or an expression of frustration. He simply notes in the book of life. The master says he is stupid. Order received. Execute stupidity program. Attract situations that make him feel stupid. Block his intelligence at critical moments. And he does it with military efficiency. The scribe controls 95% of your life. He controls your breathing, your heart rate, your digestion, your automatic emotional reactions, your irrational fears, and your financial comfort zone. You believe you make decisions. It is a lie. Most of your decisions are executed by the scribe milliseconds before you are aware of them. You only rationally justify what he already decided. This is why willpower almost always fails. Will is a tool of the conscious mind, the 5%. The program is a tool of the scribe, the 95%. In a wrestling match between a child, will, and a giant scribe, the giant always wins. You cannot defeat the scribe by fighting. You have to defeat him by hacking him. The virus of origin, the black ink. Where did the scribe get the orders he is executing right now? If you want to be rich, why does the scribe project scarcity? Because the scribe was programmed when you were helpless. From the moment you were in the womb until 7 years of age, your brain operated in a hypnotic brain frequency theta. You had no filters. You had no logic. You could not reject anything. You were a psychic sponge absorbing the reality of your local gods, your parents, your teachers, your culture. If your father said money is hard to earn, the scribe noted universal law, money is pain and sacrifice. If your mother feared life, the scribe noted, the world is a dangerous place. Stay on constant alert. If a teacher humiliated you at the blackboard, the scribe noted, I am not enough. It is dangerous to be seen, better to hide. These notes are not memories, they are operating commands. They are the source code with which your current reality is built. You are living your parents' life, not yours. You are repeating the fears of your ancestors. The scribe is loyal to the clan, not to you. Out of biological loyalty, he repeats the patterns of the pack to guarantee survival. If my parents survived being poor and fearful, I must be poor and fearful to survive. This is the generational curse spoken of in sacred texts. It is not divine punishment. It is a corrupt file on the scribe's hard drive. And until you delete that file and write a new one, you will remain a puppet of the dead, the shadow, the basement of monsters. Carl Jung, the great modern Gnostic disguised as a psychiatrist, called this repressed content the shadow. The shadow is everything that the scribe has hidden in the basement because he was taught it was bad. Your aggressiveness, your sexuality, your ambition for power, your selfishness, your wild creativity. Society told you be good, be docile, do not scream, share. So you pushed all those vital forces into the basement. You locked the door. But and this is vital, what you bury alive does not die. It only becomes demonic. Repressed energy does not disappear, it rots. Repressed aggressiveness becomes anxiety or autoimmune diseases, the body attacking itself. Repressed sexuality becomes perversion or guilt. Repressed ambition becomes envy and resentment. The hidden scribe spends an immense amount of your vital energy keeping the basement door closed. That is why you are tired. That is why you have no power to manifest. Because 80% of your energy is spent on not being you. It is spent on maintaining the mask of a good and normal person that society demands of you. Forbidden metaphysics demands an act of supreme courage. Opening the basement door, you must go down into the darkness. You must look your shadow in the eye and you must not kill it. You must integrate it. You must accept that you are capable of everything, of the best and the worst. A harmless human being is not a good being. He is a weak being. A human being who is capable of being dangerous but chooses to control his power. That is a virtuous being. That is a magician. When you embrace your shadow, you recover the energy the scribe was spending on repressing it. Suddenly, you have a torrent of power available. That is the energy you need to collapse the quantum wave. Magic is not done with the energy of the good boy. It is done with the energy of the whole being, the language of the scribe, feeling and image. How do we rewrite the scribe's book? It is no use speaking to him in Spanish or English. The scribe does not understand intellectual words. He does not understand no. If you say, I do not want to be sick, the scribe ignores the no, sees the image of sick and materializes it. If you say, I want to get out of debt, the scribe sees debt and gives you more. The scribe understands 3 languages. 1. Images, clear visual symbols. 2. Emotion, the electrical charge that validates the image. 3. Repetition, the hypnotic rhythm. To hack the scribe, you have to communicate in his language. You cannot tell him, I want to be rich. That is abstract. You have to send him the image of you signing a check or seeing a specific balance on your mobile. And you have to wrap that image in the emotion of relief, joy, or power, and you have to do it repeatedly until the scribe accepts the new order as a biological truth. The secret the church hid is that prayer is not a request to God. It is self-hypnosis for the scribe. Rituals, incense, repetitive chants, golden images, everything is technology to impress the subconscious. You do not need a cathedral. Your room is the cathedral. Your imagination is the altar, and your emotion is the sacrifice, the guardian of the door, the critical factor. There is a technical problem between your conscious mind, where you have your new desires, and the hidden scribe where the old programs are. There is a wall of fire. Psychologists call it the critical factor. It is the security filter that prevents any new idea from entering the system. It is the one that says, that is a lie, that is not logical, that is impossible. If you try to make affirmations during the day when you are fully awake, beta waves, your affirmations hit the critical factor and bounce off. You say, I am a millionaire. The critical factor says lie. You have $10 rejected, and the scribe does not even hear your desire to reach the scribe. You have to put the guardian to sleep. You have to wait for the critical factor to lower its guard. This occurs naturally at 2 moments of the day. 1. Just before sleeping, hypnagogic state. 2. Just upon waking, hypnopic state. These are the magical portals. Ancient initiates knew that the last 5 minutes before losing consciousness are the most important of the 24 hours. What you think in those 5 minutes falls directly into the scribe's basement without a filter. If you fall asleep worried about debt, you are ordering tomorrow more debt. If you fall asleep watching war news, you are ordering tomorrow more chaos. The Codex commands you never fall asleep without having cleaned your mind. Use those sacred minutes to visualize your desire fulfilled. Feel the sheet of your bed, but imagine it is the sheet of the bed in your mansion. Deceive the scribe in the darkness. If you manage to fall asleep with the feeling of the desire fulfilled, the scribe will work for 8 hours straight to materialize that while you rest. It is the most efficient form of magic. The technique of revision, the eraser of the past. Neville Goddard taught a technique for the scribe that defies temporal logic. Revision. The scribe stores traumatic memories. Those memories vibrate and create your present. At 10 years old, they told me I was ugly. That vibrates today and creates insecurity. But the scribe does not know the difference between what happened and what you imagine. Revision consists of mentally traveling to the past and rewriting the scene. You go back to the moment you were humiliated, but in your imagination you change the script. You imagine they applauded you. You imagine you defended yourself. You repeat it in your mind over and over until it feels real, until the emotion changes. By doing this, you are hacking the original file. You are putting white ink over the black writing of trauma. For the scribe, the trauma has ceased to exist as it was. Now there is a memory of triumph. And since the scribe projects the present based on the files of the past, by changing the past, your present changes automatically. Your posture changes, your voice changes, people start treating you differently. You have altered the timeline from the root, the imposter syndrome and the death of the ego. When you begin to rewrite the scribe, you are going to feel something very unpleasant. You are going to feel fake. You are going to feel like a liar. Your body is going to react. You may feel anxiety, dizziness, or a brutal resistance. The old personality will scream, "This is not a bad sign," and it is an excellent sign. It means that the old program is dying. The ego defends itself when it sees you are going to delete it. It throws thoughts of doubt at you. Who are you trying to fool? You are not like that. Return to reality. The Codex calls this process crossing the desert. It is the period of time between ceasing to be the old you and not yet being the new you. You are in no man's land. It is uncomfortable. It is lonely. Most people get scared and go back to their old known misery, but the initiate withstands the pressure. He knows that this feeling of falseness is only temporary. It is like putting on new shoes. At first, they pinch and feel strange, but if you walk enough in them, they take the shape of your foot and become your new skin. You must be willing to kill your old identity to give birth to the new one. The mental diet, the fasting from negativity. If you are reprogramming the scribe at night, but during the day you give him trash, it is not going to work. Imagine you are cleaning a lake, but on the other side you keep pouring toxins. You need a strict mental diet. The world is designed to infect the scribe. News are fear viruses. Sad music is depression viruses. Be careful with the lyrics you sing. They are decrees. Conversations of complaints with friends are poverty rituals. During the reprogramming period, 21 to 40 days, you must be a fanatical guardian of your mind. No news, no horror or drama movies, no toxic conversations. If someone comes to tell you gossip or misfortunes, cut them off or leave. Your mind is a sacred garden where you are planting seeds of gold. Do not let anyone come and throw trash in your garden. This will cost you friends. They will call you weird, they let them. It clears throat is the price of freedom. They are defending their right to be victims. You are defending your right to be God. The mirror delay, time lag. Finally, you must understand a technical property of the scribe, latency. We live in a dense world, matter is slow. When you change the image in the projector mind, the image on the screen, reality takes some time to change. Imagine a giant ship. If you turn the rudder today, the ship will continue moving in the old direction for a few miles by pure inertia before starting to turn. That period of inertia is where the dreams of the impatient die. You start decreeing wealth, but the next day a debt arrives. The ignorant says, "This does not work and let's go." The initiate knows that the debt is only the inertia of the past. It is the old wake. He is not moved. He continues holding the rudder towards wealth. He knows that inevitably the ship will turn. The scribe needs time to reorganize coincidences, move people and create opportunities. Your job is to hold the faith during the delay. If you can maintain the new vibration when the external world shows you the opposite, you have mastered the scribe. You have mastered time. Chapter 5, The Language of the Birds. In the beginning, all sacred traditions say it was not the light. It was the word and God said. It does not say and God thought. It does not say and God desired. It says that God spoke. The Big Bang for modern physics was not an explosion of fire. It was an explosion of frequency, a primordial sound, a cosmic M that still resonates in the background radiation of the universe, organizing chaos into stars and galaxies. You, as a fractal of that God, possess the same mechanism. Your throat is a dimensional portal. It is the only organ of the body capable of launching a vibration from the inner world toward the outer world. But like the sleeping God, you have forgotten how to use this technology. You have degraded the word to chatter. You use your magic wand, the tongue, to describe reality, to complain about it, to gossip about it. And you do not realize that by doing so, you are hexing your own life so that it remains small, miserable, and noisy. Forbidden metaphysics teaches us the language of the birds. An alchemical term that does not refer to talking with animals, but to speaking the language of high frequency, the language that matter understands and obeys. It is time to learn to close your mouth to accumulate power and to open it only to emit decrees. To make decrees that shake the foundations of your reality, the physics of the spell, somatics, and frequency. To understand why your word is law, you must first understand that matter is deaf to human words, but it is extremely sensitive to vibration. There is a science called somatics. If you take a metal plate, put sand on it, and apply a sound frequency, the sand ceases to be a chaotic heap. It organizes itself. It creates perfect geometric mandalas. It creates shapes of flowers, stars, galaxies. If you change the sound, the shape changes instantly. If you turn off the sound, the shape collapses and returns to chaos. You are that metal plate. Your life, your money, your health, your relationships is the sand, and your voice is the frequency that maintains that sand in its current form. If your life is a chaos, it is because the song you are emitting, your internal and external dialogue, is a dissonant noise. The word abracadabra, famous in magic tales, comes from the Aramaic avracadabra, which means I create as I speak. It is not child's play. It is a technical description of how reality works. In English, to delittria is called spelling, and spell also means heo. For the ancients, there was no difference between speaking and performing magic. Every time you open your mouth, you are casting a spell. If you get up in the morning and say, I am dead tired, you have just cast a spell of fatigue over your cells. They hear the vibration and obey, lowering your immune system. If you say, I never have money, you cast a spell of poverty. The ether contracts and pushes away opportunities. If you say, all men, women are the same, you cast a spell of loneliness, ensuring that you only meet people who confirm your decree. The universe does not understand jokes. It does not understand sarcasm. It does not understand venting. It only understands frequency, and you are transmitting on the frequency of disaster 24 hours a day. The silence, the magician's battery. Before learning to speak, the initiate in the codex must learn to be silent. In the ancient Pythagorean schools, new students had to undergo a vow of silence for up to 5 years before receiving the higher teachings. Why was it a punishment? No, it was an accumulation of pressure. Imagine a pressure cooker. If you leave the valve open, constant talking, the steam psychic energy escapes and has no strength to cook anything. If you close the valve hermetically, the pressure rises, the temperature rises, the energy condenses. That accumulated pressure is what you need to manifest miracles. Modern society teaches you to vomit every thought you have. Social networks, audio messages, endless calls. It is called verbal incontinence. It is a hemorrhage of power. When you have a great project, a great idea, or a great desire, and you run to tell your friend, your mother, or your partner, you feel momentary relief. You feel how good I've shared it already. That relief is the pressure escaping. You have just aborted the project. You have released the energy through your mouth instead of channeling it toward action and materialization. The Codex commands, guard your pearls, keep your desires secret, close your mouth. Feel how the energy of your desire grows within you, burning your chest, seeking an exit. Do not give it a verbal exit. Force it to come out as a physical fact. Force it to become reality because you left it no other escape door. The silence of the magician is not empty. It is full of contained thunder. It is the silence before the storm, the curse of complaining. Of all the bad uses of the word, the most destructive, the most poisonous, and the most common is complaining. Metaphysically, complaining is a prayer in reverse. It is a decree of what you do not want charged with the emotion of anger or frustration. And as we saw before, emotion is the fuel. When you complain about traffic, you are praying for more traffic. When you complain about your boss, you are anchoring that boss in your reality. You are saying this boss is real. He is powerful and he has control over me. You are giving him your energy. Complaining is the act of declaring clear's throat that you are a victim. It is saying the outer world has the power and I can only cry. The initiate in the language of the birds eliminates complaining from their vocabulary radically. If they do not like something, they have two options: act to change it in the physical world or use the mental decree to change it in the invisible world. But never ever will they spend their precious vocal energy describing trash. There is a brutal exercise imposed on students of the Codex. The complaint fast. Try to spend 24 hours without emitting a single complaint, neither verbal nor mental. You will realize that you are addicted. You will realize that you do not know what to talk about if you are not speaking ill of something or someone. The uncomfortable silence that arises when you stop complaining is the space where your new power begins to be born. Gossip, energetic cannibalism. If complaining is poison for you, gossip is poison for the collective. Talking about others, judging lives that are not yours, criticizing someone who is not present is low-level black magic. Not because it is a moral sin, but because it is an act of vampirism. When you criticize someone, you are invoking their energy. You are connecting with them through an invisible and dirty thread. You are bringing their vibration into your field. If you talk about how bad someone is, you are inviting that evil to enter your house. Furthermore, you are scattering your focus. The sleeping god, you has a limited amount of daily attention. If you spend 40% of your attention on the life of the neighbor, the famous person or the politician, you have 60% left to build your own empire. You are financing someone else's reality with your own energetic bankruptcy. The language of the birds is a language of creation, not of description. The master talks about ideas, visions, projects. The slave talks about people. Elevate your speech, and you will elevate your life. The structure of the decree I am plus command. How do you speak in the language of the birds? One does not ask, one does not plead, one orders. The structure is that of a king giving instructions to his generals. The ether, the base formula is I am. As we saw in chapter 2, I am is the name of God in action. But here we are going to add tone. It is not what you say, it is the frequency with which you say it. You can say I am rich with a trembling voice hopping, it is not a lie. That is trash. The universe smells your fear. Or you can say it with authority. Authority is not shouting. Authority is a vibration of cold certainty. It is the voice of a judge passing sentence. The release of the prisoner is ordered. The judge does not shout. He does not plead. He only speaks and the prison doors open. You have to find your voice of command. It is a voice born in the belly, not in the throat. It is a voice that resonates in your bones. Exercise. Lock yourself in your room or in the car and begin to decree your new reality out loud. I am the power that governs my world. I am inexhaustible abundance. This situation is resolved now. At first, you will feel like an actor, but continue. Turn up the volume. Feel how the vibration hits the walls. There will come a moment when you will feel a click. You will feel a chill. You will feel that something has broken in the air. That is the moment when the decree has been accepted by the ether. In that moment, be silent. It is done. Scientific prayer. Neville Goddard and the Masters of New Thought rescued the true way to pray. Prayer is not to change God. God is immutable. Prayer is to change you. It is to raise your frequency to the level where your desire already exists. Scientific prayer in the language of the birds is anticipatory thanksgiving. Thank you, Father, because you have heard me, said before seeing the result. Giving thanks is the ultimate act of faith. You only give thanks when you have already received the gift. Therefore, giving thanks for what you do not yet see is the most powerful way to deceive the hidden scribe in the universe into delivering the gift. If you decree I want health, you are affirming lack. If you decree thank you for my perfect health, you are affirming possession. The universe, forced by the law of correspondence, has to manifest that for which you have already given thanks, so that the equation balances. Gratitude is the seal that closes the decree. The danger of idle words. Jesus, the great metaphysical master, warned that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. This is not a religious threat. It is a technical warning. Idle word means word without purpose. Unconscious word, word said for the sake of saying it. The day of judgment is not the end of the world. It is the day of harvest. It is tomorrow. It is your future. You will pay for every stupid word you said about yourself. I am a disaster. What bad luck I have. I'm going to starve. This is killing me. Those words are not carried away by the wind. The wind. The ether picks them up, plants them, and returns them to you converted into facts. You are sowing antipersonnel minds in your own future path every time you speak without consciousness. The Codex demands extreme vigilance. You must become the guardian of the door of your lips. If a word does not build, does not heal, or does not reveal truth, it must not come out. It is better to appear mute and wise than to speak and confirm that you are a foolish creator of misfortunes. The secret name of things. In alchemy, it is said that knowing the true name of something gives you power over it. In the language of the birds, this means renaming your reality. The doctor gives you a diagnosis. He puts a scary-sounding Latin name on it. Chronic degenerative disease. That name is a spell. If you accept it, you accept the sentence. The initiate hears the medical name, but internally and in their private decrees they change the name. They call the disease temporary cleansing process. They call the debt space for new wealth. They call loss necessary pruning for growth. You are not denying physical facts. You are denying the final authority of those facts over you. By changing the name, you change the emotion. By changing the emotion, you change the vibration. And by changing the vibration, you change the result. Do not let the world label your life. You are the one who applies the labels. You are the biblical Adam who is given the power to give names to all the beasts. The beasts are your problems. Give them names that domesticate them, not names that give them fangs. The sound of silence, the mute thunder. To finish, let us return to the origin. The most powerful sound of all is the one not heard with the ears. It is the voice of intentional thought. It is the psychic scream. When you are in a desperate situation where speaking out loud is not possible or prudent, you can scream with the mind. A mental stop projected with all the strength of your soul has the impact of a shock wave. It is what the yogis call the nada brahma, the sound without sound. It is the pure vibration of the will. Use this silent scream to cut negative thoughts, to stop fear, to clear the atmosphere of a heavy room. Imagine that your will is a giant gong that you strike at the center of your being. The invisible sound wave sweeps away everything that is not the truth. Chapter 6. Alchemical Fire, Emotional Transmutation. You have been taught in hundreds of self-help books and religious sermons that to be a high being you must be Zen. You must be in perpetual calm. You must smile, be kind, repress your dark instincts, and always vibrate in love and light. The Codex of the Silence tells you that is a lie designed to castrate you. A human being who only knows passive peace is harmless. And reality does not obey the harmless, it obeys intensity. Magic is not an art of pacifist monks, it is an art of alchemical warriors. To move the heavy machinery of the universe, to bend timelines and materialize empires from nothing, you need nuclear energy. And that energy is not found in the lukewarmness of comfort. It is found in the places you have been forbidden to visit. In your anger, in your sexual desire, in your fear, and in your pain. Welcome to the alchemist's laboratory. Here we reject nothing. Here we judge nothing as bad. Here we take the heavy lead of your densest emotions, and through alchemical fire we turn it into the pure gold of manifested reality. Prepare to be burned. The myth of high vibe, the trap of repression. Let's begin by destroying the concept of low vibration as understood by the masses. They tell you that anger is low vibration, that fear is low vibration. This is a childish simplification. Anger is not low, it is dense, it is potent. It is like coal, dirty to the touch, but capable of generating immense heat if ignited. Peace, on the contrary, is subtle. It is like steam. If you want to move a locomotive, what do you prefer? A cloud of dispersed steam or a ton of burning coal? The problem is not the negative emotion. The problem is repression. Society has domesticated you. It has taught you that shouting is rude, that desiring sex is dirty, that crying is for the weak, and that having ambition is for the greedy. So you have taken all those volcanic forces and pushed them down into the basement of the hidden scribe. But physics is clear. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. What you repress does not disappear. It becomes shadow. Repressed anger becomes depression or illness. Repressed desire becomes perversion or neurosis. Repressed fear becomes chronic anxiety. The alchemist does not repress. The alchemist transmutes. He understands that emotion is simply emotion, energy in motion. It is electricity. Electricity can electrocute you or it can light up a city. It depends on how you channel it, not on the electricity itself. If you reject your own darkness, you are throwing away half of your fuel. You are trying to fly a plane with half a tank. The Athanor, your body as a furnace. In medieval alchemy, the Athanor was the furnace where the great work was cooked. It had to be airtight, capable of withstanding infernal temperatures without exploding. You are the Athanor. Your physical body and your nervous system are the vessel where magic happens. Most people have leaks in their ana. When they feel anger, they vomit it by shouting at someone. Energy leak. When they feel desire, they waste it on pornography or disconnected sex. Energy leak. When they feel pain, they numb it with alcohol, food, or distraction. Energy blockage. Transmutation requires containment. You must learn to feel the emotion with brutal intensity, but without letting it escape through the usual channels. You must feel the fire burning you inside. And instead of opening the exhaust valve, you must use that pressure to push your desire toward the ether. Imagine a cannon. For the bullet to go far, the gunpowder must explode. The powder must explode in a closed space. If the cannon has holes, the force disperses and the bullet falls 2 m away. The silence we talked about in Chapter 5 is part of this containment, but now we are going to learn to use the 3 great forbidden fuels. Fuel 1, sacred anger, the power of enough. Anger is perhaps the most misunderstood emotion. We are taught that anger is destructive and it is if it is unconscious. But conscious anger is the force of revolution. Every great change in history and every great personal transformation begins with a moment of anger. The moment you say enough, enough of being poor, enough of this treatment, enough of this disease, that enough is not a soft complaint. It is a roar. It is a breaking of chains. Anger is the energy that sets limits. It is the energy that defines territory. Without anger, you have no borders. How is it used alchemically? When you feel the fury rising through your spine, do not launch it at the person who provoked it. That person is irrelevant. They are just the mailman who brought you the package of energy. Take the package, feel the heat in your stomach, feel your hands tighten, and now visualize your goal, visualize the life you want, and use that fury to inject power into the image. Mentally say, with this force I destroy my poverty, with this force I build my empire. Anger is the propulsion fuel. It is what pulls you out of inertia. If you are depressed or stuck, you do not need peace. You need anger. You need to be indignant with your situation. Indignation is the first step toward dignity. The fire of anger burns the obstacles. Use it to demolish the walls that separate you from your desire. Fuel 2, iOS, Sexual Alchemy. Here we enter the most protected secret of the occult lodges, the arcanum of sexuality. Napoleon Hill dedicated a whole chapter to the mystery of sexual transmutation. Why? Because sexual energy is the most potent energy a human possesses. It is the only energy capable of creating life. It is nuclear. Society has taught you to treat sex as a toy, a vice, or a hygienic discharge. For the metaphysician, sex is the primal creative force. Sexual desire, libido, is not just an urge to copulate. It is the impulse of life to expand, to create, to conquer. When you feel sexual arousal, you are charged 100%. The average person seeks to discharge this immediately. The alchemist does something different. He learns to hold the charge. He learns to feel the desire pulsing in his veins, but instead of seeking immediate physical discharge, he elevates that energy. He directs that tension toward his brain, his project, his vision. An artist working with sexual frustration creates masterpieces. An entrepreneur who channels his libido into his business becomes magnetic and unstoppable. This does not mean forced celibacy. It means intention. It means that in the moment of climax, you must visualize your desire. The orgasm is a small death and a great birth. In that second of vacuum, whatever you have in your mind is imprinted on the ether with the force of an atomic explosion. If in that moment you think of your lack, you have lost the magic opportunity. But if in the instant of ecstasy you visualize your success or your health, you have FC-candated the universe. You have used arrows to create reality, not just biology. Fuel 3, the dark night, the power of pain. The third fuel is the hardest to accept. Pain, sadness, grief, despair, no one wants to feel this. We flee from it like the plague. But the Codex teaches us pain is the chisel that carves the soul so it can fit more light. There is a type of manifestation that only occurs when you touch bottom, when you have nothing left to lose, when the ego has been completely broken. In that state of total surrender, a strange phenomenon occurs. Resistance disappears. Small self has been annihilated by pain, and what remains is crystalline clarity. Many millionaires became rich after total bankruptcy. Pain burns the silliness. It burns the superficiality. It makes you real. It makes you deep. The dark night of the soul is not a punishment. It is an initiation. It is the alchemical furnace burning the lead's impurities to leave only the gold. If you are going through deep pain, do not try to cheer up with cheap phrases. Feel it, enter it, use it. Tell the universe, take all my pain, all my tears, and use them as cement to build my new life. There is immense dignity in transmuted suffering. Pain gives you gravity. When someone who has suffered and overcome speaks, everyone listens. Their word has density. The technique of implosion, how to transmute. Now that you know the fuels, how is the mix made? The process is emotional implosion. Most people live in explosion. The energy goes outward, shouting, crying. Transmutation is implosion. The energy goes inward and upward. Step 1, locate the sensation. When the strong emotion arrives, stop. Do not act. Close your eyes. Locate where it is felt in the body. Is it a knot in the stomach, heat in the chest, tension in the throat? Stop calling it anger. Remove the label. Look at it as what it is. Pure energy vibrating electrical current. Step 2, hermetic containment. Visualize your body as an unbreakable glass vessel. Do not let the energy out. Do not repress it. Simply observe it spinning inside you like a whirlwind of fire enclosed in a bottle. Feel the pressure increase. Feel every cell vibrate. It is uncomfortable. The fire burns. Hold on. The step 3, the elevation, the elevator. Use your breath to move that ball of energy. Inhale deeply and imagine you bring that energy up from the stomach or genitals through the spine to the center of your brain. Visualize the dark fire lead rising and becoming golden or white light gold as it reaches the head. Step 4. The laser shot. Once the energy is in your head projecting with intensity, project your desired image. See your goal and exhale forcefully, imagining all that accumulated energy coming out through your third eye as a laser beam that hits the image of your desire and fills it with life. You are charging the hologram. You are giving it life with your own vital substance. Do this every time you feel an intense emotion. Become a predator of emotions. Instead of fearing bad days, wait for them eagerly, because a bad day is a day with a lot of energy available to be stolen and used for your purpose. The heart is a magnetic transformer. All this process occurs under the supervision of the heart, not the romantic heart, but the heart as an electromagnetic generator. The magnetic field of the heart is 5,000 times more powerful than the brain's. The brain thinks electric. The heart attracts magnetic. To transmute, you have to feel the final result in the heart. Alchemy is the union of thought, image, and feeling fuel. If you think I am rich but feel fear in the heart, the magnetic signal of fear wins. You have to use the alchemical fire to change the heart's resonance. Burn the fear until only certainty remains. The neutrality of power, a warning from the Codex. This energy is blind. It is like electricity. It does not care if you turn on a lamp or an electric chair. If you use your transmuted anger to wish ill on another, it will work. But remember Chapter 7, the universe is a room of mirrors. What you launch returns. If you use alchemical fire to destroy, you will burn yourself first because the fire is born in you. The wise alchemist uses fire to build. He uses anger against injustice to build justice. He never attacks people. He attacks conditions. People are puppets of their programs. They don't deserve your precious energy. Emotional vampirism. Protecting the Athanor. Now that you know your emotion is gold, you will understand why the system tries to steal it. News is designed to get anger and fear out of you. Social networks are designed to get envy and desire out of you. They are extraction machines. They want you to fire your emotional energy against the screen so you stay empty and docile. The metaphysician practices imperturbability. It does not mean he doesn't feel. It means he doesn't react mechanically. You choose when and why you get emotional. If you see terrible news, you refuse to give it your fear. You keep the energy, transmute it, and use it to bless your own life or to really help, but not to worry. Protect your Athanor. Your emotional energy is your investment capital. Do not spend it on other people's dramas, on internet political arguments, or on trying to change people who do not want to change. Every Graham is a brick. Chapter 7. The Labyrinth of Mirrors. You do not live in a world of solid objects and independent people. You live in a labyrinth of mirrors. Every person, every situation, every obstacle, and every stroke of luck is a perfectly polished mirror that returns an exact image of what you carry inside. Not what you say you carry, your pretty decrees, but what you truly carry, your subconscious vibration, your shadow, your hidden fears. If you do not understand the law of the mirror, you will spend your life fighting your own reflection. You will break your fists hitting the glass, believing you are fighting an enemy, when in reality you are only fighting a projected version of yourself. Welcome to the room of truth. Here there are no victims. There are only creators facing their own creation. The mechanics of the echo. The universe is neutral. To understand karma and cause and effect, you must first strip these concepts of all religious morality. Karma is not an old man with a white beard knotting your sins to punish you. Karma is not divine revenge. Karma is physics. It is Newton's third law applied to metaphysics. To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Imagine you are in a giant canyon. If you shout, "I hate you," the echo returns, "I hate you." Is the canyon evil? Is the canyon punishing you for having anger? No, the canyon is neutral. It is a bounce mechanism. If you shout, "I love you," the echo returns, "I love you." The universe is that canyon. It is an impersonal system of automatic response. It does not care about you as a person, your ego. It cares about your signal. If you emit a signal of fear, even if you disguise it as prudence, the universe returns situations that justify that fear. If you emit a signal of scarcity, even if you disguise it as saving, the universe returns situations that take away the little you have. Injustice is an optical illusion. When you say this is unjust, what you are saying is, I do not remember when I emitted the cause of this effect. You have forgotten the original cry, but the echo has just reached you. The Codex teaches us to stop judging the echo and start changing the voice. The other does not exist. everyone is you. Here we enter one of the most profound and disturbing teachings of forbidden metaphysics, a teaching that if you truly understand it will change all your relationships forever. The other does not exist. There are no others in your reality. There are only projections of yourself. Neville Goddard called it everyone is you pushed out. The people in your life do not have free will in your reality. They are actors hired by your hidden scribe to represent the script you wrote. If you deep in your subconscious basement believe that I am not worthy of love, your partner has no choice. They must treat you with coldness or deceive you or abandon you. They do not do it because they are a bad person. They do it because your vibration forces them to act that way to confirm your belief. They are an actor faithful to your script of unworthiness. If you believe that people are abusive, you will meet tyrant bosses and friends. They are fulfilling your prophecy. They are mirrors of your own lack of boundaries and your own fear. That is why changing partners, cities, or jobs is useless if you do not change yourself. If you break the mirror because you don't like your face and you buy another mirror, you will see the same ugly face in the new mirror. You will find the same boss with another name, the same toxic partner with another body. The pattern repeats samsara until the projector changes the movie. This truth is painful because it kills the ego of the victim. You can no longer say he hurt me. You have to say I hurt myself through him. I gave him the script to hurt me. The tyranny of reaction. The infinite loop. Why is it so hard to leave the labyrinth? Because we fall into the trap of reaction. The cycle works like this. Internal cause. You have a subconscious fear of poverty. External effect. Mirror. An unexpected bill arrives, or you lose a client. Reaction. The error. You see the effect. You get scared. You get angry and shout, I am poor, what a misfortune. Recharge. By reacting with emotion, you are emitting the same signal of poverty again. You are shouting into the canyon once more. New effect. The universe receives your new signal and sends you more poverty tomorrow. Most people live trapped in this negative feedback loop until they die. They react to the mirror, and by reacting they create more of the same. The mirror makes a face at them. They make a face at the mirror, and the mirror returns an even worse grimace. It is infinite. To break the mirror, you must stop reacting to the reflection. You must practice divine indifference. When the bill arrives, the effect of the past. Do not react, do not give it emotion. Pay it if you can or leave it there, but do not let your heart tremble. Look at it and say, this is an old echo, it is a dead shadow, it does not define me, my current reality is wealth. If you manage not to react to the bad reflection, you cut the cycle. You stop feeding the echo and the sound eventually dies. The mirror delay, the test of faith. As we saw in previous chapters, matter is dense. There is a time lag. When you look in a physical mirror, the reflection is instant. But in the mirror of reality, the reflection takes days, weeks, or months to adjust. You change your face today, you change your vibration to abundance, but the mirror keeps showing you poverty for a while. Why? Because it is the residual reflection of your face from yesterday. It is like the light of the stars. When you look at a star, you are seeing the light it emitted millions of years ago. Perhaps the star is already dead, but you still see it. Your current problems are dead stars. They are emanations of yourself from the past. The great mistake is looking at those problems and thinking, my change didn't work, I am still the same. False. Your change already worked in the causal plane, but the plane of effects takes time to purge the old image. The initiate in the codex has the patience of the farmer. He knows he has planted the seed. He knows the seed is underground in the darkness. He does not dig it up every 5 minutes to see if it grows. He waters the earth with faith and emotion and waits knowing the harvest is inevitable. You must ignore the current mirror in order to create the future mirror. The projected shadow judgment. There is a quick way to know what you need to heal in yourself. Look at what irritates you most in others. If arrogant people deeply bother you, it is because you have a repressed arrogance in your shadow, or because you feel so small that their arrogance insults you, which is another form of ego. If lazy people bother you, it is because you do not allow yourself to rest and you judge yourself harshly. Carl Jung said, what you deny submits you, what you accept transforms you. The outside world is a scanner of your inner world. When you judge someone, you are judging yourself. When you point a finger, 3 fingers point at you. Judgment is a confession. I hate thieves. I'm afraid of losing, or I desire to have what is not mine. The master stops judging, not because he is holy, but because he is intelligent. He knows that judgment is a glue. What you judge, you stick to your reality. If you spend the day criticizing corrupt politicians, you are tuning into the frequency of corruption. You are inviting corruption into your life. Perhaps not at a political level, but at a personal level, someone will deceive you. To be free, you must let go of judgment. You must observe the world with clinical neutrality. Forgiveness as liberation technology. Here we reach the most powerful tool to clean the mirror. Forgiveness, but not the religious, moralistic, and weak forgiveness they taught you. Forgive your enemies because it is for good Christians. No, the Codex teaches selfish and intelligent forgiveness. Forgiving is not saying what you did was okay. Forgiving is not reconciling with the abuser. Forgiving is releasing the thread. Resentment is a high-voltage cable that binds you to the person who hurt you. As long as you hate them, you are tied to them. Their energy flows to you and yours to them. You are giving them your life. You are drinking poison, waiting for the other to die. Forgiving is cutting the cable. It is saying, I release you and I release myself. You are no longer the protagonist of my movie. I expel you from my script. Forgiveness is an act of mental hygiene. It cleans the mirror of the stain of the past so that it can reflect a new future. Without forgiveness, there is no future. There is only an eternally recycled past. If you want to manifest something new, you have to let go of the old. You cannot grab the gold if your hands are full of burning coal. Resentment, the technique of revision, cleaning the rear view mirror. We return to Neville Goddard's technique because in the labyrinth of mirrors, it is vital. Sometimes the mirror shows you something so horrible that you cannot ignore it. An accident, a brutal argument, a diagnosis. It stays engraved on your retina and in your emotion. If you go to sleep with that image, the scribe will print it again. You must clean the rear view mirror. At the end of the day, review the events. If you had an argument with your boss, do not review it as it was. That is reinforcing the echo. Rewrite it in your imagination. Visualize that the boss congratulated you or that the argument was resolved calmly. Senti the relief of that new version. Do it until your emotional memory changes. By doing this, you are hacking the mechanism of cause and effect. You are eliminating the cause, the negative memory before it can generate more effects. You are cutting karma at the root. For the universe, what counts is the vibratory footprint you left in your mind. The mirror of abundance, the gratitude. If complaining perpetuates the mirror of scarcity, gratitude creates the mirror of abundance. But again, we talk about technical gratitude. It is not giving thanks for politeness. It is the recognition that you already have. When you thank, the mirror says, this being is grateful, that means they have good things. I must reflect more good things. Gratitude is the multiplier. If you give thanks for the only dollar you have, the mirror multiplies that dollar. If you curse because I only have $1, the mirror takes that dollar away. To him who has gratitude, more will be given, and from him who has not, complaint. Even what he has will be taken away. This biblical sentence is a law of mirror physics. Search for evidence of what you want, however small. Do you want wealth? Do not look at the debts. Look at the coin you found on the street and thank it as if it were $1 million. Do you want health? Do not look at the pain. Thank that your lungs breathe without effort. The loneliness of the Creator. Understanding the labyrinth of mirrors carries an existential loneliness at first. You realize that no one does anything to you. You realize that your parents, your friends, and your enemies were only reflections of your own states of consciousness at different moments in your life. You realize that you have always been talking to yourself. It is like entering a room full of people and suddenly turning on the light and seeing that there are only mirrors and mannequins. You are the only real being there. This can be scary. It is called soipism, but the Codex tells you do not stay in the fear. Move to the power. If you are the only one operating the machine, it means you have total control. No one can stop you. No one can block you. There is no competition. What is for you will find you because you are the magnet. This loneliness transforms into a deep connection with the all, because if everyone is you, then you can love everyone as yourself. You no longer love out of need. Love me, please. You love out of recognition. I love you because you are me in another suit. Relationships cease to be battlefields and become sacred dances of self-discovery. Chapter 8. Eternity in an instant breaking time. The last great lie. The final cage that keeps the sleeping god dreaming that he is a limited mortal is linear time. You have been taught that life is a straight line. You are born at point A, walk toward point B, success, love, old age, and die at point C. You have been taught that the past is an immovable slab you carry on your back, and that the future is a promised land that you might with luck and effort reach one day. The Codex of the Silence destroys this line. The ancient initiates from the mysteries of Elusas to the lamas of Tibet knew the truth. Time is not a line, it is a point. There is no before, there is no after. Only the eternal now exists. Everything that has occurred, everything that is occurring, and everything that will occur is happening simultaneously in this precise instant in different frequencies of reality. If you manage to break the spell of the stopwatch, if you manage to step out of horizontality and enter verticality, you will stop waiting. And when you stop waiting, you begin to have welcome to the dimension where the clock stops and magic begins. The tyranny of Chronos, the illusion of the river. The Greeks had two words for time, a distinction that modernity has forgotten to its own misfortune. The first is Chronos. It is the time of the clock, sequential time, tick-tock, tick-tock. It is the time that kills you. It is the time that ages you. It is the time of waiting. Chronos is the god who devoured his own children. And that is exactly what linear time does to you. It devours your moments, turning them into ashes of the past before you can savor them. In the world of Chronos, manifestation is slow. You have to plant, wait, water, wait, grow, wait. It is the world of delayed cause and effect, the time lag we spoke of in the previous chapter. The majority of humanity lives as slaves to Chronos. They live crushed by the guilt of what they did yesterday and the anxiety of what they will do tomorrow. They are never here, but another time exists, the time of magicians, poets, and gods. The Greeks called it Kairos. It is the opportune time, the supreme moment. Kairos is not measured in minutes. It is measured in depth. In Kairos, a second can last an eternity, as in a first kiss or a car accident or a deep meditation. In Kairos, you do not move forward toward the future. You move inward toward the being. The Codex teaches us that to manifest impossible realities, we must abandon Chronos and inhabit Kairos. We must stop looking at the calendar and start looking at the frequency. Because in the dimension of the divine mind, 10 years of human effort can be compressed into a single instant of realization. The universe block everything already exists. Modern physics reluctantly has reached a conclusion that validates the Hermetic vision, the block universe. Imagine a loaf of bread. If you cut a slice, that is the present. But the rest of the loaf, the past and the future, is already baked. It already exists. Einstein said it. The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. This means that your successful, healthy, and happy version is not something you have to build brick by brick in the future. It is a slice of bread that is already there in the cosmic block. It already exists. It is alive. It is breathing. It is enjoying that money and that health right now in a parallel frequency. You are not traveling toward your desire. You are tuning into your desire. It is like a radio. All stations 90 FM, 100 FM, 105 FM are broadcasting at the same time in the same space. If you are listening to the sad music of 90, your current reality, you do not have to build station 105, your desired reality. You just have to turn the dial. The time you take to manifest is not the time it takes the universe to create things. The universe is instantaneous. It is the time it takes you to let go of the old frequency and stabilize in the new one. The anxiety of the waiting room. Why do we suffer? Because we live in the mental waiting room. I will be happy when I have the house. I will feel secure when I have the money. I will love myself when I lose weight. That when is the death trap. By projecting your satisfaction into the future, you are declaring that in the present you are incomplete. And as the hidden scribe chapter 4 only understands the present by saying I want it tomorrow, the scribe notes today he does not have it. Today is lack. The forbidden metaphysics demands a logical death-dealing leap. You must feel the satisfaction before the event occurs. You must leave the waiting room and enter the party room, even if the physical party has not started yet. This breaks linearity. If you feel gratitude now, the universe, confused so to speak metaphorically, says, wait, this being is vibrating in gratitude and success, but his physical reality is poverty. This is a dissonance. I must correct the physical reality to match his vibration. You accelerated time. You brought the future to the present, collapsing the intermediate time, speaking with the future self, temporal theurgai. Here we present an advanced technique of the Codex. If time does not exist and all versions of you are alive right now, you can communicate with them. You can speak with your future self, that self who already achieved what you are struggling to get, that self who already overcame the illness, who already paid the debts, who already wrote the book. She exists and has a perspective that you do not have for him. Your current problem is only a distant memory. And a yes, I remember when I was worried about that, but everything turned out fine. Connection exercise. In a state of deep meditation, mental silence, visualize a bridge of light. On the other side of the bridge, you see your future self. Observe how he walks, how he dresses, how he smiles. Note his tranquility. It is not a fantasy. It is a real quantum connection. Ask him, how did you do it? What step did you take that I am not seeing? And then be quiet and listen. Often the answer will not come in words, but in a feeling of certainty, in a sudden idea, or in an inexplicable peace. By connecting with your future self, you are downloading his frequency. You are copying and pasting his state of consciousness into your current mind. You are allowing him to pull you upward, taking you out of the well of linear time. The more you talk to your future self, the faster you will become him. The time between you and him will collapse. The revision, healing the past self, but time not only traps us forward, it chains us backward. The past, the traumas, the mistakes, the guilt. If I hadn't done that, if they hadn't done that to me. The weight of personal history is the anchor that prevents the ship from sailing. The Codex gives us shocking news. The past is not fixed. The past as it exists today in your mind is only a memory trace. It is a neural circuit that you fire over and over again. Every time you remember a traumatic event, you are recreating it chemically in your body. You are bringing it to the now. For your hidden scribe, the abuse of 20 years ago is happening today because you are feeling it today. The technique of revision, briefly mentioned before, but deepened here, is the tool to travel back and change the cause. If you change the cause, the effect, your present must change. Mentally travel to the moment of trauma. Do not relive it as a victim. Enter as a film director. You have the power to edit the scene. If someone shouted at you, imagine they whispered words of love. Or imagine that you turned around and left with dignity. Or imagine that person never existed in that scene. Repeat the new scene in a loop. Give it color, sound, and emotion. Do it until the new scene feels more real than the old one. The skeptics will say, you are deceiving yourself, that didn't happen. The initiate responds, everything is mind. If I change the image in my mind, I change the vibration in my body. And if I change my vibration, my future changes. What is more real, a memory that kills me or an imagination that saves me? By healing the past self, you release the energy that was trapped in the trauma. Suddenly, you feel lighter. Chronic health problems disappear. Patterns of failure are broken. You have altered the timeline. You have returned to the future, your present being a new person. The quantum leap, changing lanes. Imagine time not as a single road, but as an infinite highway with millions of lanes. Each lane is a timeline. In lane 1, you are poor and die young. In lane 2, you are middle class and live quietly. In lane 3, you are a billionaire and you change the world. In lane 4, you are a famous artist. All lanes run parallel. Now you are driving in lane 1. You look through the window and see the other lanes. The error is thinking that you have to accelerate a lot in lane 1 to reach the destination of lane 3. You cannot. Lane 1 only leads to the destination of lane 1. You do not need speed, effort in time. You need a steering swerve, change of state. The quantum leap is the act of changing lanes. You stop being the person who complains lane 1. And you start being, thinking, feeling, and acting like the person in lane 3. You put on the suit of the rich self right now. You walk like him. You speak like him. You treat money like him without fear. At first, it will seem like you are pretending. But if you hold the frequency, the physical reality of lane 1 dissolves, and you start to see the signs of lane 3. New friends, new offers, strokes of luck. It wasn't luck. It was a change of track. Active patience, the art of not waiting. Here we reach the supreme paradox of the magician. You must have patience, but you must not wait. How do you swallow that? Waiting is a state of anxiety. When will it arrive? Why is it taking so long? That is doubt. Active patience is a state of certainty. It's coming. It's inevitable. Meanwhile, I enjoy my life. It is like a pregnant woman. She knows the baby is there. She doesn't take pregnancy tests every 5 minutes. She doesn't cry asking if the baby is real. She prepares the room. She buys clothes. She takes care of herself. She is waiting in the linear time of 9 months, but she is not waiting in the sense of doubt. She is already a mother. She already lives as a mother. The Codex asks you to live your desire with that mystical gestation. If you have decreed a successful business, do not sit to look at the phone with anguish. Prepare the room. Learn the skills you will need. Organize your life. Dress for success. Act as if success were inevitable. That attitude collapses time. It eliminates friction. The universe loves certainty and hates despair. To despair, it makes it wait eternally. To certainty, it opens the door immediately, the holy instant. The Course in Miracles, a modern text that channels ancient Gnostic truths, speaks of the holy instant. It is that moment outside of time where fear disappears and you remember who you are. It is a microsecond of enlightenment. You can invoke the holy instant in the middle of chaos. You are in an argument. You are in a traffic jam. You are in the hospital. The time chronos crushes you. Close your eyes, breathe, and say, this moment is the only moment. The past has no power here. The future has no power here. I am eternal. Feel how the horizontal line stops and you enter verticality. You feel a sudden peace. The pressure disappears. From that point of stillness, the solution to the problem appears, because problems exist in time. Cause-effect, but solutions exist in eternity. Divine inspiration to solve a problem created in time. You must step out of time. Einstein said a problem cannot be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Translated by the Codex, a temporal problem cannot be solved with temporal tools. You must use eternal tools. The death of when and how. The two fiercest guardians of the prison of time are two questions. When will it happen? How will it happen? These questions are traps of the ego. The when is a doubt about time. The how is a doubt about power. The initiate renounces the when and the how. Those are problems of the universe, the scribe, the ether. Your work, your only work is the what, the desire, and the who, your identity. You define what you want and who you are. I am rich, and you let the great architect take care of the when and the how. If you try to control the how, I have to win the lottery or I have to get that specific promotion. You are limiting the universe to a single channel. You are operating in chronos. If you let go of the how, you allow chaos to act. The money can arrive from an inheritance, from an idea, from a gift, from a forgotten investment. The universe has paths that your logical temporal mind cannot see. Renounce the control of time to gain the control of destiny, the memory of the future. Neuroscience has discovered that the brain does not distinguish between remembering the past and imagining the future. They use the same neural networks. For the brain, imagining is remembering something that has not physically happened yet. The Codex invites you to create memories of the future. Dedicate time each day to remember your success, not to dream it as something distant, but to remember it as something familiar. Ah yes, I love the smell of my new car. I love how it feels to sign these contracts. Make it so familiar, so daily, so boring even that your brain stops seeing it as a fantasy and starts treating it as a fait accompli. What is familiar to the mind manifests in life. What is extraordinary or distant to the mind stays far away. Bring the future to the neighborhood of the familiar. Become friends with your destiny. Chapter 9. The Fall of the Archons. Energetic sovereignty. You should feel free. You should feel light. And yet you feel it, don't you? You feel a viscous resistance. You feel that every time you try to rise, something pulls you down. You feel that the outside world suddenly becomes noisier, more chaotic and more demanding just when you decide to seek peace. G is not a coincidence, and it is not bad luck. It is the immune system of the matrix reacting to a virus. And the virus is you who have decided to stop being a battery to become a creator. The ancient Gnostics, those rebel mystics who were persecuted to extinction in the first centuries of our era, left a terrifying warning. They left written in the Nag Hammadi CDCs, the material universe is not just a school, it is a farm. And on a farm, the livestock is not there to be happy, it is there to be milked. You are not at the top of the energetic food chain, there are things above you. Invisible entities, mechanical forces, soulless intelligences, they eat energy, they eat your fear, they eat your anger, they eat your insatiable desire, they eat your blind worship. They are the archons, the rulers, and this chapter is your declaration of independence, the human farm, the food of the gods. To understand sovereignty, you must first understand slavery. Every living being needs to feed. Plants eat sunlight. Animals eat plants or other animals. What do the inorganic beings eat that inhabit the subtle dimensions surrounding the earth? They eat a substance that Robert Monroe called looch. Looch is distilled human emotional energy, but not just any emotion. Pure joy, unconditional love, and creative peace are frequencies too high, too light, and volatile for these dense entities. They are like helium, they escape upward. The archons need heavy emotions, dense emotions that stick to the ground. Suffering, terror, anguish, obsessive lust, fanaticism, war, that is their caviar. Look at the world around you, look at the news, look at the economic structure, look at religions based on guilt, look at the entertainment system based on violence and drama. Does it seem to you that the world is designed for human happiness? No, it is designed for the maximum generation of stress. The system is optimized to keep you in a constant state of alertness, sympathetia, producing waves of adrenaline and cortisol, generating looch to feed the archons. When you wake up and look at your phone and see a terrible news item, you have just served breakfast. When you fight with your partner over trifle and spend 3 days bitter, you have just served lunch. When you feel guilty for something you did 10 years ago, you have just served dinner. You are a rechargeable battery that is voluntarily emptying itself to keep a parasitic system alive. The egregor, the pendulums of power. Do not imagine the archons as medieval demons with horns. That is folklore to scare children. In forbidden metaphysics, we understand the archons as egregor or pendulums. An egregor is a collective thought form that has taken on a life of its own. When millions of people focus on an idea, a religion, a political party, a soccer team, a disease, a crisis, they inject so much mental energy into that idea that it detaches and becomes an autonomous entity. That entity, the egregor, has only one instinct: to survive. And to survive, it needs more energy. It needs more attention. The soccer egregor needs you to scream, to cry, to fight with the fan of the other team. It doesn't care who wins. It cares about the energy of the conflict. The political egregor needs you to hate the other side. It feeds on your indignation. The disease egregor needs you to fear contagion, to talk about symptoms, to obsess. These pendulums swing over humanity, hypnotizing us so that we hand over our power to them. They tell you, if you don't worry about this, you are irresponsible. If you don't fight for this cause, you are a bad person. They manipulate you morally so that you connect to the extraction cable. Energetic sovereignty begins when you realize that no side is your friend. All sides want your energy. The only legitimate side is your own consciousness. The predator of the mind, the internal dialogue. The Toltec shamans in the lineage of Carlos Castaneda spoke of the flyer or the predator. They said, "We have a foreign mind, a foreign installation. Have you ever wondered why your internal dialogue is so cruel? Why do you say things to yourself that you would never say to your enemy? You are a failure. You are fat, nobody loves you. You are going to die alone. That voice is not you. That is the archon whispering. It is the mental parasite. Its job is to keep you in a low vibration so that you are edible. If you start to feel good, to feel powerful, the parasite starves. So it throws an intrusive thought at you, a painful memory or a sudden doubt to take you down a notch and put you back on the menu. The first step of sovereignty is the dissociation of the voice. You must listen to your mind and say, "That thought is not mine. I am the one who listens, not the one who speaks." That is an attempt at harvest. When you identify the voice of the predator, it loses its power. The parasite only works if you believe that he is you. If you see him as a parasite, you can stop feeding him. The strategy of invisibility, non-reaction. How do you defeat an archon? How do you destroy an egregor? No. If you fight against war, you generate anti-war energy, which is still conflict energy. The war aggregates your hatred toward war and becomes stronger. If you fight against a disease, you give it reality. What you resist persists. The only way to win is to starve them, and their food is your emotional attention. Therefore, the supreme strategy of the Codex is divine indifference, to become transparent, to become invisible. If you see terrifying news, do not react. Look at it like someone watching it rain. Ah, it's raining fear today. Interesting, but do not get wet. Do not let it enter your heart. If someone insults you, do not react. The insult is a hook to pull your energy. If you do not bite the hook, the fisherman leaves. If the pendulum pushes you and you are empty, the pendulum passes through the void and loses inertia. This gray rock attitude, being boring to predators, is your shield for the system. You are dangerous because you are fireproof. They cannot provoke you, they cannot scare you, they cannot seduce you. You are owner of your attention. The contract of consent, the revocation. In universal law there is a rule that even the archons must respect. Free will. They cannot steal energy from you without your consent. The trick is that they obtain your consent through deception, coercion, or tacit contract. They make you believe you must suffer. They make you believe that it is normal to be afraid. And you say yes unconsciously. The Codex teaches you the ritual of revocation. It is a cosmic legal act. You must stand in the center of your being in deep meditation or out loud and declare, "I your name here and now revoke and annul any contract, pact, or agreement that I have made, consciously or unconsciously in this life, or any other, with any entity, system, or egregor that does not serve my highest good and sovereignty. I do not consent to be food. I do not consent to useless suffering. I do not consent to the manipulation of fear. I declare my energetic space as sovereign territory. I close my doors to everything that is not love, truth, and freedom. So it is, and so it shall be. Feel how the chains break. Feel how the puppet strings are cut. You might feel a dizziness, a heat, or a chill. It is the disconnection from the central system. From this moment on, you are no longer livestock. You are a free being walking through the farm. The organic vampires, portal people. Sometimes the archons do not attack directly from the mental plane. They use biological agents. They use people. The Codex calls them organic vampires or portals. They are those people, sometimes relatives or friends, who have the supernatural ability to leave you exhausted in 5 minutes. Dramatic people, narcissists, eternal victims, aggressive people. They are people who have lost their connection with the divine source. Their sleeping god is in a deep coma, and to survive, they need to steal the energy of others. They are plugs looking for a socket, and you are a very attractive battery. When you start to wake up, these vampires will draw closer. They will feel your glow. They will try to provoke you, make you feel guilty, or drag you into their dramas. It is not personal, it is hunger. Your duty as a sovereign is to close the door. You cannot save them by giving them your energy. If you give them your blood, you only make them more dependent and you weaken yourself. Compassion does not mean self-destruction. You must establish boundaries of steel. No, I'm not going to talk about this. I'm leaving. The no is the magic word of protection. A no said without guilt is an impenetrable shield. The guilt, the master shackle. Of all the control tools of the archons, the most efficient, the stickiest, and the most paralyzing is guilt. Guilt is the tax you pay for existing. Religions told you that you were born with original sin, guilt for being born. Society tells you that you are guilty for not being productive enough or handsome enough or good enough. Family tells you that you are guilty if you do not meet their expectations. Guilt is a mechanism of infinite debt. You owe something. And because you owe, you have to pay with your suffering. The archon feeds on your remorse. The Codex declares, guilt is a lie. You do not owe anyone anything. Your existence needs no justification. The God that you are is innocent. It has always been. Past mistakes were learning experiences, not eternal crimes. The only way to repair a mistake is to do it better now, not to flagellate yourself for what happened yesterday. Self-flagellation is masturbation for demons. Drop the whip. Forgive yourself radically. A being that does not feel guilty is unmanipulable. They cannot be blackmailed. The silence of the system, the gray zone. When you cut the strings, when you stop reacting, when you revoke the contracts, something strange happens. You enter the gray zone. The system stops seeing you. You become, metaphysically speaking, invisible to the matrix. Your problems decrease drastically. The drama disappears. The vampires move away looking for easier prey. But it can also feel like a void. You no longer have the rush of the adrenaline of conflict. You no longer have the validation of the herd. You are alone in your sovereignty. It is the silence of the desert. Many cannot stand this silence and run back to the noise of the system, back to fighting on the internet or seeking toxic relationships because they are addicted to looch. The initiate learns to love this silence. It is in this void where you can truly start to create without interference, without energetic taxes. It is here where your manifestation becomes pure and fast because all your energy goes to your desire, not to feeding the prison guards, the temptation of the savior. One last trap of the archons for the awakened, the Messiah complex. When you discover this, you want to wake everyone up. You want to run to your mother, your brother, or your friend and say, wake up, you are slaves. Look at the Codex, and they will look at you like you are crazy and you will suffer and your suffering will feed the archon. Understand this. You cannot wake up someone who wants to keep sleeping. Sleep is comfortable. The matrix is seductive. The steak tastes good. Respecting the free will of others includes respecting their right to be victims, respecting their right to suffer. It sounds harsh, but it is the law. If you try to wake someone up by force, you are violating their sovereignty. You become an enlightened tyrant. The best way to wake others up is not to shout in their ear. It is to shine. Be so free, so happy, so abundant, and so sovereign that they look at you and ask, what are you taking? I want some of that. Preach with your life, not with your mouth. Be the lighthouse, not the tugboat. The lighthouse doesn't run after ships. It stays still and shines. The ships that seek light will come. The guardian of the threshold, the fear of freedom. Finally, the last archon is not outside. It is on the threshold of your own mind. It is the fear of freedom. Being sovereign brings vertigo. It means there is no safety net. It means that if you fall, you pick yourself up. It means you cannot blame the government or your parents or the economy or the devil. You are God in your universe. That vertigo is the last test. If you can look into the abyss of your own infinite responsibility and smile, you have won. The archons withdraw. They cannot touch a sovereign. They become mere background shadows, irrelevant like flies that buzz but do not bite. Chapter 10. The Door of No Return, Conscious Immortality. The system, the matrix, the archons, has many tools of control, money, status, pleasure. But its master tool, the whip with which it keeps the herd inside the pen, is the fear of death. They tell you that death is the end, that it is annihilation, or even worse, that it is a judgment where an external God will decide your fate. They tell you behave, pay your taxes, do not rebel, and perhaps you will have a good death. The fear of non-existence is the shackle that prevents you from living with audacity. The Codex of the Silence destroys this fear today. Death is not a system error. It is not a medical tragedy. It is not an end. Death is a transition technology. It is the door of no return. And what awaits you on the other side does not depend on luck or mercy. It depends on your level of consciousness. If you die as a sleeping slave, you will be recycled. If you die as an awakened sovereign, you will be free. Welcome to the last lesson. We are going to learn how to die so that we can begin to live. The diving suit in the ocean. Let us start with the obvious, what medical science sees but does not understand. Your body is not you. Your body is a biological suit, a diving suit of flesh and bone designed to operate in the density of the third dimension. Gravity is heavy. Matter is dense. You need a robust vehicle to navigate here. When a diver goes down into the depths of the ocean, they need a heavy suit with lead and oxygen hoses. While underwater, the diver seems clumsy, slow, and heavy, but when the mission ends, the diver rises to the surface. They take off the helmet, they take off the lead, and suddenly they breathe pure air. They move with freedom. They remember they are not a marine creature. They are a creature of the surface. Death is simply the act of taking off the diving suit. The problem is that most human beings have spent so much time underwater that they believe they are the suit. They believe that when the suit rusts, they will cease to exist. They cry for the suit. They spend fortunes trying to patch the suit. The initiate in the Codex practices radical disidentification. They look at their hand and say, "This is my tool, not my being." They look at their face in the mirror and say, "This is my mask, not my face." They know that the sleeping god is the occupant. The occupant is indestructible. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. Consciousness is energy in its purest state. Therefore, you are eternal by physical law. You cannot die even if you wanted to. You can only transform. The transit zone. What exactly happens when the heart stops and the brain shuts down? Tibetan traditions and Hermetic teachings coincide with modern accounts of near-death experiences. NDE clears throat. There is no black. There is no nothing. On the contrary, there is too much. When the filter of the brain breaks, total reality floods your perception. You see colors that do not exist on Earth. You hear music that are pure mathematics. You feel an infinite expansion. You realize you have been living in a dark room and someone just turned on the sun. This intermediate state is called the Bardo. It is a zone of psychic transit. And here is where the destiny of your soul is played, because the bow is mental. In the Bardo, your thoughts manifest instantaneously. There is no time lag. If you die with fear, you will see monsters. If you die with religious guilt, you will see demons or judges. If you die with attachment to matter, you will remain trapped as a ghost unable to let go. That is why the work of the Codex is vital. Now you must clean your mind before dying. If your hidden scribe is full of trash, your experience in the Bardo will be a hallucinatory nightmare. If you have mastered your mind, the Bardo will be a playground. You will navigate death with the same authority you navigated life. The white light trap, the recycling. Here we enter the darkest secret of Gnosticism, a secret that challenges the New Age narrative of going toward the light. It is said that upon dying, a tunnel appears with a bright and loving white light at the end. Often you see deceased relatives or religious figures calling you with love. They tell you, "You'll come, my child. You have suffered much. Come rest." And they tell you, "But you still have lessons to learn. You made mistakes. You must return to Earth to correct them. You must reincarnate to pay your karma." The Codex warns you, it is a trap. It is the machinery of the archons. The external white light is a memory erasing device. It is the fishing net to capture souls and return them to the farm. They convince you through guilt you must learn more or attachment, return to your family so that you voluntarily accept another contract of slavery. They make you sign to return to a new body with your memory erased to start the cycle of suffering and looch production all over again. This is samsara, the hamster wheel. The awakened sovereign does not go toward the external light. Why? Because he knows that he is the light. He does not need to look outside for what he carries within. When the projection of light appears, the sovereign stops. He is not afraid, but he does not obey. He recognizes they are holographic projections of the matrix. He says, "No, I do not consent. I no longer need to learn through suffering. I am a divine and free being." What does he do then? He turns inward, or he looks toward the black universe, the fertile void, the true freedom of the stars. Instead of being recycled, he becomes a free traveler of the cosmos. He recovers his total memory. He recovers his full power. He graduates from the human school building the light body Meba. To achieve this feat, to resist the magnetic pull of unconscious reincarnation, you need something more than intention. You need a vehicle. In Taoist and Western alchemy, it is called the light body, the diamond body, or the Merkaba. This body is not given to you for free at birth. You have to build it. It is built with accumulated consciousness. Every time you became conscious of yourself in life, you added a brick to that body. Every time you did not react mechanically, every time you observed your thoughts, every time you remembered I am, you strengthened your immortal vehicle. Most people, the living dead, the zombies of the system, do not have a formed light body. They have barely a vapor. When they die, their consciousness dissipates like smoke in the wind, and they are easily absorbed by the recycling system. They do not have specific weight to resist. The initiate works all their life to crystallize their soul, to have a consciousness so dense, so compact and so lucid that it can cross through death without losing the memory of who they are. Gorge said, "Man has no soul, he has to earn it." He referred to this. You must crystallize it through inner work. The daily death, the dress rehearsal. How do we prepare for the great moment? By dying a little every day. The Sufis have a saying, die before you die. This does not mean suicide, it means detachment. Every night when you go to sleep, you have an opportunity to rehearse death. Sleep is the little brother of death. When you lie down, practice letting go of everything. Let go of your roles. I am no longer the boss, nor the father, nor the husband. Let go of your possessions. Nothing in this house is mine. Let go of your body. This vehicle stays here turned off. Enter the sleep naked only as pure consciousness. If you can fall asleep every night with total detachment, without clinging to the problems of the day, you will be training the muscle of death. When real death arrives, you will not feel panic. You will feel familiarity. You will say, "Ah, yes, I know this feeling. It is time to let go of the load." What a relief. The panic at the moment of death comes from the ego trying to grab the furniture while the ship is sinking. If you have already let go of the furniture before the ship sinks, you float. The vibratory legacy, what remains? As you prepare to depart, a question arises. What do you leave here? The system tells you to leave money, statues, children, or books. But the Codex says the only thing you leave is your vibratory signature. Every thought, every emotion, and every act you have had has left a trace in the ether of the earth. You have modified the fabric of reality. If you lived with fear, you have left a stain of fear that will affect those who come after. If you lived as a sovereign, you have left an open door. You have left a trail of fire that others can follow. The great masters did not leave physical empires. They left a vibration so high that thousands of years later we can still tune into it and use it to rise. Your mission is not to be famous. Your mission is to raise the frequency of your local environment. If you manage to heal your own mind, you are healing the collective mind of humanity. Because we are all connected in the subconscious, your liberation is a public service. Your awakening facilitates the awakening of others. The paradox of immortality, you already are that. Here we reach the great cosmic joke, the final revelation. You have spent this whole book, and perhaps your whole life looking for how to be immortal, how to be divine, how to be powerful. But the truth is that you have never been anything else. What dies is the character. John will die. Mary will die. Their stories, their dramas, their diseases will dissolve into the dust. But you, the observer, the silent witness, the I am, were never born. You were not born when your mother gave birth to you. That was only the avatar entering the server. You existed before the Big Bang, and you will exist when the last star goes out. You are the space in which things happen. You cannot die because you are not a thing. Things are born and die. The space that contains them is eternal. Enlightenment is simply the moment the wave realizes it is water. The wave can break against the rock and disappear as a form, but the water remains water. You do not have to earn immortality, you have to realize it. You have to stop identifying with the form, the wave, and start identifying with the substance, the ocean. What will you do now? Will you go back to sleep? Will you go back to worrying about the news, about money, about the opinion of neighbors? It is hard to go back to sleep when you have seen the sunrise. But you cannot flee the world either. You still have the suit on. You are still in the game. The final challenge is to be in the world, but not of the world. Playing the game with passion, but knowing it is a game. Loving with intensity, but without attachment. Building empires, but knowing they are sand castles. Laughing when the drama hits you because you know it is just a movie scene. Become an infiltrator, an agent of the spirit in the territory of matter. Walk through the streets with your secret. Look people in the eyes and see the sleeping God in them, even if they do not see it. Be the error in the system. Be the anomaly, be the virus of freedom. You do not need to convince anyone. Your mere presence vibrating in sovereignty cracks the matrix around you. Where you step, fear loses power. Where you speak, the lie wavers. Conclusion, the new hermeticist. The file is closed. The last page has been read. Silence once again fills the room. You have spent the last few hours receiving a download of information that has been persecuted, hidden, and feared for millennia. You have looked behind the veil of Maya. You have seen the gears of the matrix. You have recognized the voice of the hidden scribe and felt the heat of the alchemical fire. Now you face the most dangerous moment of this entire process. The danger is not the archons. The danger is not karma. The danger is you. The danger is that you turn off this audio, take off your headphones and say, "How interesting." The danger is that you then return to your life as an automaton, complaining about traffic, fearing the news, and begging for love. If you do that, you will have committed the cardinal sin of Gnosticism, intellectual gluttony. You have eaten the fruit of knowledge, but you have not digested it. To know and not to do is worse than not knowing, because now you no longer have the excuse of ignorance. Now if you continue to be a slave, it is because you have chosen to be one with your eyes wide open. Ignorance was a cage with the door closed. Knowledge has opened the door. But if you stay inside the cage because you are afraid to fly, that is your condemnation. The profile of the new hermeticist. What do we expect from you? What does it mean to be an initiate in the 21st century? We do not ask you to retreat to a cave in the Himalayas. We do not ask you to dress in strange robes or speak in riddles. The new hermeticist is an infiltrated agent. You are a spy for consciousness in enemy territory. On the outside, you look normal. You go to work, you pay your bills, you wear common clothes, you use technology, you laugh and you cry. No one looking at you would suspect that you carry an entire universe inside your skull. But on the inside, you are an operator of high magic. While others react with panic to economic crisis, you observe with divine indifference, knowing that your provision does not come from the government, but from your mental decree. While others fight on social networks feeding the egregore of hate, you remain silent, saving your energy to build your empire. While others fall ill with fear, you transmute emotion into vibrant health. You are in the world, but you are not of the world. That is mastery. It is easy to be a saint in a monastery. The difficult thing, the true trial by fire, is to be a god in the middle of a traffic jam on a Monday morning. That is where the new hermeticist is forged. The code of silence, your shield. There is one final rule that you must engrave in your heart. The supreme axiom of the alchemists: to know, to will, to dare, and to keep silent. Of the four, the most important now is to keep silent. Do not go out from here trying to evangelize your friends. Do not try to save your family by explaining that they live in a simulation. They will take you for a fool. They will attack you. And worst of all, they will drain your battery. Remember what we learned about the archons and organic vampires. The system hates the awakened. If you put on a neon sign that says, "I am awake," the system will send its agents, critics, skeptics, problems to turn you off. Be wise as the serpent and gentle as the dove. Work in the shadows. Let your results speak for you. When in 6 months or a year your life has been magically transformed. When you have that radiant health, that inexplicable wealth, that unshakable peace. People will come to you. They will ask you in whispers, "What did you do? What is your secret?" Only then, and only to those who ask with sincerity, can you hand them a key, not before. Do not throw pearls before swine, or they will turn and tear you to pieces. Your power resides in your secret. The daily battle, the discipline of the bow. Do not believe that the work is finished. The work has just begun. The inertia of your old life is strong. The hidden scribe, your subconscious, has decades of negative programming. It will not give up without a fight. Tomorrow the system will test you. You will have an unexpected problem, an argument. In that moment the universe will be asking you a silent question. Are you truly who you say you are, or were you just playing? If you react with fear, you have failed the test. If you react with unconscious anger, you have failed the test. If you blame another, you have failed the test. The new hermeticist sees every problem as a weight in the gym. A 50-kilo weight of financial problem. Excellent. I am going to use it to strengthen my muscle of relentless certainty. A weight of romantic betrayal. Perfect. I will use it to strengthen my muscle of forgiveness and sovereignty. You do not run from resistance. You use it to rise. Every day is a training session. If you fall, and you will fall, do not lash yourself. Guilt is food for the archons. Get up. Shake off the dust. Laugh at your fall and keep walking. Excessive seriousness is a trap of the ego. The god that you are is a child playing at creating worlds. Play with joy. The renunciation of victimhood, the price of the crown. To put on the crown of the Creator, you must take off the rags of the victim. You cannot wear both garments at the same time. You cannot say, I am God, and at the same time say, poor me, look what they did to me. You have to choose, and you have to choose now. Renouncing victimhood is painful. It means you can no longer complain. It means you can no longer seek compassion from others by telling them your misfortunes. It means you assume radical responsibility for every atom of your existence. If you are alone, you created it. If you are broke, you created it. If you are sick, you created it. This sounds cruel to the ego, but it is the greatest news of liberation for the spirit, because if you created it, it means that you can uncreate it. If it were the government's fault, you would be screwed. But because it is your fault, your cause, you have total control. Bless your responsibility, because in it lives your freedom, the legacy, becoming a node of light. Finally, understand that this is not just about you. It is not just about getting the new car, the big house, or the ideal partner. Those are toys to entertain the avatar while it awakens. The true purpose of the new hermeticist is to heal the web. Humanity is a shared neural network. We are all connected by the collective subconscious. Right now, the web is dark. It is full of fear, pain, and confusion. Every time you turn on your light, every time you choose love over fear, certainty over doubt, sovereignty over slavery, you are turning on a node in the web. You are purifying the water of the ocean where we all swim. Your awakening facilitates the awakening of your child, of your neighbor, of your enemy. You do not need to preach to them. Your vibration does the work. You are a high-frequency antenna in a low-frequency world. Just by existing in a state of grace, you are saving the world. That is the great work. That is the philosopher's stone to turn the lead of human consciousness into the gold of the divine spirit. Farewell incending. The codex of the silenced has been delivered. You are no longer innocent. You are no longer ignorant. You are an initiate. Now get up from wherever you are. Look around you. Look at that chair. Look at that wall. Look at your hand. Realize that everything is mind. Everything is frozen light. Feel the power pulsing in your chest, waiting for an order. Feel the ancestors, the magicians, the witches, and the alchemists who died so that this information would reach your ears today. They are behind you in line, smiling. They are passing you the torch. Do not let it fall. Go out there. Ignore appearances. Laugh at fate. Bend reality. Decree your truth.